All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the stream. Welcome if you are new. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. And thank you, as always, for waiting patiently for the intro to finish up there. Let's see. So today we have a couple of topics to talk about. Nothing major, nothing I would say all that exciting, unfortunately. In fact, one of the topics we're going to be talking about is maybe I would say like the opposite of exciting, which is disappointing to hear, but we do have to acknowledge it. Chris Brown, that's not true. I've seen you here many times, bro. You're new here. This is your first. Oh, I see what you did there. It just yeah. Okay, got you. But we got Michael Lynch here with the super chat saying I was watching Skillup's impression of the Erd Tree. I guess you're talking about the Shadow of the Erd Tree DLC for Elden Ring. It looks amazing. Yeah, it seems like people are pretty stoked for it. Hold on, boss. I love you, man, but you can't. You can't. Okay, it's you're too hairy. You're too hairy. I'm gonna have to move up here. I'm gonna have to get real close. I'm gonna have to get real close to you guys. Hope you're okay with that for a little bit. But yeah, people are really stoked for the Shadow of the Erd Tree DLC. I saw that the previews just dropped, and I don't know how I'm feeling about it right now, honestly, because like Elden Ring, I really struggled with, and everything I'm hearing about the DLC, it sounds like it's significantly harder. And for me, that's like, oh man, I really just barely got good. Like good enough to beat Elden Ring. And the DLC does look amazing. But the previews that I've been hearing and what I've been hearing people say, they're like, yeah, this is brutal. Like this is even more difficult. This is even more challenging. I'm like, oh, I don't know, man. That might be enough to deter me. I have to think about it, but I can't deny it does look amazing. It's From Software just doing what they do best. Honestly, I just need to over level. Dude, I feel like I did. I feel like I did over level even for the, base Elden Ring, and I still struggled, man. I don't know. Maybe I'm beginning to think I'm just bad at Elden Ring. Did I watch that Dancing Dragon boss? I saw the one. It was like maybe you're thinking of the dancing lion. It was like some kind of like lion. It was like a bunch. It was almost like a mass, but there was a lion's head, and it looked really, 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 really challenging. I'm like, damn, dude. But Michael, I appreciate that super chat, man, and we'll see. We'll see as the Shadow of the Erd Tree DLC gets closer what I'll decide. I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm very torn on it. Like I want to go back to it. I want to get back into it, but it's so like it looks so daunting and intimidating. I'm like, I don't know, man. I don't know. But what we're going to be talking about today is Naughty Dog once again. Neil Druckmann has come out and straight up acknowledged that they're going to be making a new game. They're going to be making something new. They're not just going to keep making The Last of Us. And I think the fact that he has to address that he has to say that kind of goes to show the position that Naughty Dog is currently in. And it's unfortunate that we've seen Naughty Dog kind of get to this point. But yeah, we're going to talk about it. We're going to go over his quote. We're going to be talking about Summer Game Fest and how Jeff Keighley like straight up said there's not going to be major announcements. There aren't going to be any big announcements at Summer Game Fest, and this is disappointing. I do appreciate the honesty though. I do. I really do. Like I do appreciate that he's just straight up like, yeah, if you're coming to this show expecting like major big announcements, you're coming to the wrong place. I'm sure that what he's saying is not going to help viewership, but at the same time, I'd rather him be honest and upfront about it than try to overhype it and oversell it and have people just rage. But we're going to talk about what we are apparently going to see at Summer Game Fest. And one of the things that is going to be at Summer Game Fest is PlayStation. PlayStation making some kind of new announcement or possibly multiple announcements. I think we'll get the Final Fantasy IX reboot announced this weekend. Actually, we might. Yeah, I saw that. Although it seems like the leakers who were talking about it are telling people to maybe temper their expectations just a little bit. I guess maybe because some people are thinking that the Final Fantasy IX remake announcement is going to be like equivalent to like what we're seeing with Final Fantasy VII, but it's being treated a little bit differently. It's going to be a kind of couple steps below that, but still a remake. Actually, let me see here. Let me see something. I'm on the Gaming Leaks and Rumors subreddit right now. Lunatic Ignis corroborates a Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater announcement coming this week. Okay, so that's a second source saying we're going to be hearing from Metal Gear. Let me see. What else is there? More info from Midori on Final Fantasy IX Remake. Development is very far along. Square originally outsourced but weren't happy with how it was coming along. The scope of the remake is still unknown. Okay. All right, so that's the latest information we have from the leaker known as Midori, who has had good information. The development is far along, but the scope of the game is not known. So we actually don't know how big or not big this Final Fantasy IX remake is, how it's going to be. But yeah, again, there's not like a whole lot of PlayStation topics to talk about. I have a couple of other ones here that we kind of covered very briefly yesterday. Maybe we'll touch on them again. We'll see. Unless Final Fantasy IX is multi-plat, I think it'll show up at a Sony event. I think it is going to be multi-plat. Honestly, I'm anticipating everything from Square going forward to be multi-platform. That's what I'm anticipating. Could be wrong, but, based off of what they said recently. Spider-Man DLC, yeah, I think that could show up at Summer Game Fest. I do. We have Corey the Legend Landiga coming in, dropping 5 membership gifts for you guys, getting us started today. Before I could even tell you guys how to help support the channel, Corey's already doing it. Thank you so much for that, Corey. Thank you for just continuously showing such awesome support for me in this community, buddy. Boss says thank you. I feel like I got to throw that up there because we all know Corey wants what Boss wants. In the name of Boss. Yeah, he's chilling right now. He's every time I stream now and Boss is in the room, he gets very rambunctious, and he kind of stays rambunctious for about an hour and a half. And then, after I give him some snacks and some catnip, and he usually chills out after that. I've conditioned him, I can't be mad at him. As much as I want to be frustrated, I can't. I've trained him. You've trained him. Did I see the new Venom movie trailer? I did. Didn't really do much for me. I haven't watched the Venom movies. Something about them just hasn't been appealing to me for some reason. I don't know why. Maybe I'll get around to it, though. But I think this is the last one, right? It's called The Last Dance, so I think it's the last one. Just under an hour until Destiny 2, the Final Shape releases, big numbers incoming. You know what? I actually forgot about that, yeah. I forgot today was the day it was releasing. Josh, you're saying Part 3 for Final Fantasy VII will be a timed exclusivity, you think? Yeah, I'm really curious to see what's going to happen with Part 3 for Final Fantasy VII Remake, because, you would think it's still going to be exclusive because there was, a deal signed and agreements and whatnot, but I do wonder if there were like certain clauses, in that agreement where if a game failed to meet certain expectations or failed to hit like a minimum number of sales, that it would void the contract and Square can do whatever they want at that point. They can go multi-plat. Um, I do wonder if that's what we're looking at here. I guess we'll find out, you know. There's time. There's time. Where are the reviews for Destiny 2 DLC? Yeah, it's a good question. It's a good question. I don't know. Yeah, I did see that. MBG, did you see Mystic's video today? Very interesting take on this generation of consoles. Yeah, I did see it, and you know, I appreciated that video. So for those who don't know, Mystic uploaded a video today, and it was titled "Why PS5 is Successful Without quote True Exclusive Games." The cross-gen / PC king ? And I watched this video, and you know, it was nice to watch and to see somebody like Mystic talk about this, because hopefully people will wake up and realize that, yeah, like there are actually a myriad of different reasons why the PS5 is still so successful, and that I know that there are people who like basically hate the PlayStation 5 and they hate modern PlayStation and they hate the way this generation has gone. And I understand some of that, but at the same time, like there are just too many factors at play that, you know, I don't want to say that they're like the vocal minority, but in a way they kind of are, where it's like, I mean, you know, people are still supporting the things that PlayStation is doing, and there are different aspects to why the PS5 is doing so well that go beyond just having true exclusives. And I did read a comment that somebody put out, and they were like, well, let's remember that having true exclusives, and a lot of them, isn't necessarily enough alone to guarantee the success of a console. Just look at the Wii U. The Wii U had a lot of great exclusives from Nintendo, and that's really all it had, but it still flopped like horrifically badly. And it serves as absolute proof that having a console and having exclusive games for that console alone is not enough by itself. There has to be other factors that help kind of, you know, make that console seem interesting or relevant to a wider player base beyond the exclusives. Antonio, once again, bro, if you could do me a favor, if you could drop that link for me, if you're able to, in the chat. You're saying for the Cliff Notes. I haven't read them yet. No, I only have a report here about Jeff Keighley basically saying not to expect any big announcements. So if you could drop that link in the chat for me, I'd greatly appreciate that. But I guess we could start there. We'll start with talking about Summer Game Fest. So obviously, I'm going to be streaming Summer Game Fest. It's happening on Friday, the 7th. And I have a report here from WCCF Tech. It says we finally arrived at Summer Game Fest 2024 week, and host Jeff Keighley has provided some advance info for fans in a Twitch Q&A. To begin with, Keighley tried to temper expectations, saying there will not be many shocking announcements this year. Here's the full quote. One of the things you'll see with the Summer Game Fest show this week is that we've really tried to program some unexpected things with smaller teams and independent studios alongside the sort of big blockbuster games and franchises that you will see in the show as well. But I think what's cool about our industry right now is that it's a great time where small games can really get significant success, as we've seen. I think it's going to be a little bit quieter this summer when it comes to crazy new announcements and shocking surprises and things like that. That's one of the things I always see online, the crazy speculation. Just like last week with the State of Play, people went in with crazy expectations. I see all this stuff even around Summer Game Fest, and I think it's going to be a good, solid show, but we're not going to have a new GTA 6 trailer for you. I know sometimes when I see the feedback online, people have lots of crazy that they can get excited about. That seems like a typo. I think it meant to say lots of crazy things they get excited about. Hopefully we will deliver on some of those things, but I'm sure many things we won't. Hopefully what happens is that people tune in and find something that surprises them. End quote. Jeff Keighley also talked specifically about games that will or will not be at Summer Game Fest 2024. In the first category, gamers can expect to see a new Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 trailer, a new Metaphor ReFantasio trailer, a new Monster Hunter Wilds trailer, and a new Batman Arkham Shadow trailer. On the other hand, don't get your hopes up to see games like Kingdom Hearts 4, Metal Gear Solid Delta, The Wolf Among Us 2, and Hollow Knight Silksong. So, obviously he's trying to be Jeff Keighley's trying to be, I guess you could say, honest with everybody, and letting us know that it's not going to be a show where you get like massive bomb drop announcements. And it's interesting how he is kind of framing it as if we're just not really going to see that at all this summer, like that this year's just going to be a very weak year when it comes to major new announcements. He could just be saying this to to kind of make his show seem not as lackluster, like, hey, it's, everybody else is going to be struggling. And he referenced the state of play and whatnot. And I think he did confirm, by the way, that the show is going to be about 2 hours long. So it's a long show. That's the thing about Jeff Keighley shows and why I'm not trying to be a downer, but I just have to be completely honest in that it doesn't necessarily get me very excited at all to tune into a 2-hour show. It's a long show. And then hearing like, yeah, you're not really going to get any major big announcements. And, he talks about the smaller teams and the smaller games. And maybe I'm sure there will be something at Summer Game Fest that's worth tuning into. But the main draw for me for Summer Game Fest, frankly, is going to be the fact that PlayStation's going to be there. I think it's safe to say PlayStation's not going to make a major announcement. No, see, Irfan, something like that, absolutely not. Jason Blundell's studio announcement, no chance. Honestly, the absolute most I would expect from Sony at Summer Game Fest is either Spider-Man 2 DLC. If not that, I would expect maybe that Horizon Lego Adventure announcement. And that's it. You're not going to see, like, this isn't where Ghost of Tsushima is going to show up, obviously. You're not going to see anything like that. You're not going to see Mark Cerny roll out on stage with the PS5 Pro and a NAC 3 announcement. Yeah, I don't think so. Michael Lynch with the $5 chat again. Thank you, buddy. You're saying, what's bad is they hate PlayStation for no reason, yet they love Xbox despite the lack of great games and constant lying. They just fell for marketing. I hear you, man. I don't understand the level of consternation that exists around PlayStation at this point in time. I was on Twitter earlier and I saw this post that some random person made that went viral. And I'm paraphrasing the post, but this is essentially what they said. They said, it's crazy to me that Sony went from having some of the most unique, interesting, colorful, diverse, vibrant gaming worlds and characters and just type of experiences to basically just becoming playable HBO. And this tweet went viral, and a lot of people were in agreement, but I did see some people disagreeing. And what was interesting about the people that were disagreeing is they were showing all of the different games that Sony has released the last 5, 6, 7 years that are not what you would call, playable HBO. Games like Helldivers 2, games like Ratchet and Clank, games like Sackboy: A Big Adventure, games like Demon Souls remake, games like Astro, and stuff like this. And there were more there, of course, but it's just weird to me where it's like, I don't understand what it is that people, again, have, like, and also, I just, not to bring it up again, but it's like, I also found the timing of this very funny. Like, dude, did you not see Concord? Like, Concord was like, not everything you just described, but definitely not playable HBO. You know what I mean? Yeah, Returnal. Exactly. Yeah, Returnal's on that list. GT7, MLB The Show, Dreams. There you go. See, and this is what bothers me is like some of these games like Dreams and Sackboy Big Adventure, like some of these games like don't do well. At least it seems like Sackboy Big Adventure didn't do that well. Um and these are the different types of games that people are talking about, and people, it's like they just ignore it and pretend like it doesn't exist, and it's like maybe that's why it failed in the first place, because you didn't support it. Like, were you supporting Dreams? I would argue that Dreams is probably one of the single most unique video games ever made, ever. Like, did you support it? Did you buy it? Did you play it? Did you advocate for it? Probably not. But no, you're very quick to, just hop on the trend of, oh, Sony just makes HBO playable movies. And yeah, we're not even talking about partner studios and stuff. And it's not even that I want to take a defensive position, but it's hard not to. And it's like, what is this nonsense? Like, I get it. Japan studio was shut down like years ago. I get it. And they put out some of the most unique, interesting, quirky stuff. Sure. But we're still just going to sit here and like loathe about that. I don't get it, man. Like, I don't understand how that comment can even be that relevant after the state of play we just got. I don't like Concord, but you can't deny Concord is different from anything Sony has done. Pretty much ever. You definitely can't look at Concord and say that's exactly what I would expect from Sony. You can't do that. Even if you don't think it looks good, you can't say that about it. That's one thing. You can say a lot of things about Concord. That's one thing you can't say, is that it looks like what I would expect from Sony. You know what I mean? But also, look at the game that people are most hype about, Astrobot. Astrobot is the antithesis of games like The Last of Us, of games like God of War. And my question is, like, why, like, where is this popular? This is where I'm just thinking, like, it's kind of true what you're saying here, Michael. It just seems like people just like to hop on certain bandwagons just because it's the popular thing to do. Meanwhile, like, you bring up Xbox here. It's like, look, I'm not here to just like throw Xbox under the bus, but it's true. Like, Xbox has not delivered jack, dude. Like, they haven't. I'm not saying that means they haven't done literally anything. There are a few games, far and few in between, for Microsoft, but generally speaking, for the past 12 years, they haven't delivered jack. But people are so willing to just kind of be like, oh yeah, not going to be that hard on Xbox. It's like, really? It's weird, dude. It's a weird thing to witness, but I've seen people speculate that maybe this is just because PlayStation is on top, that because, they are number one, they are, I will say, man, for the past, I would say 2 to 3 years specifically, past 2 to 3 years, maybe 2.5 years, the amount of people that I've seen rooting, if not rooting, definitely betting against Sony and PlayStation. Like, PlayStation's going to struggle, PlayStation's going downhill, PlayStation's not going to find the success that you think they are, they're not going to stay on top. I've seen this regurgitated month after month after month after year, and yet here we are where we get probably the biggest business corporate update, from Sony, PlayStation that we have in years. And it's all numbers based. It's objectivity. The numbers don't lie. And PlayStation is doing great. Like, what people won't acknowledge and what they won't tell you is, oh yeah, look, PlayStation's profitability, it's down. PlayStation's profitability is so bad. And it's like, compared to the past couple years, yes. Compared to the PS4, compared to the PS3, oh my God. PlayStation is cleaning house, dude. And that's what people overlook, is like, yeah, PlayStation is upset that their profit is down because it's down compared to 2022, down compared to 2023. Obviously, they want it to be at least on the same level or better than the profitability that, they were getting in 2022 and 2023. And I'm just saying, like, the way people talk about this stuff, they just don't know what they're talking about. I'm just convinced that people more than ever, and I say this as somebody who does complain. Obviously, I have my complaints, I have my frustrations, but it just seems like more than ever, like, people just want to complain for the sake of complaining because it just feels like this will get the clicks, this will get the likes, this will get the agreement. You know what I mean? And it's like, have you tried just looking at things more holistically? Mark Tech, you're saying you should watch Mystic's new video on PS5 success. I did watch it. Yeah, I did watch it. I don't want to bring it up now and watch it because that just feels a little. I mean, I think he's trying to get views on that video, so I'll recommend go check that video out. I don't want to just play it here and be like, check out Mystic's video. Go give him the views. Mystic does a good job. And I just want to make it clear, I'm not saying don't complain. I'm not saying just shut up. Like I don't think that's not a good response either. You know what I mean? It's just like if we're going to make complaints and if we're going to be this, like, if we're going to be this critical about everything, then I think we need to make sure we're getting the whole picture, that we're seeing the whole picture, that we are taking everything into consideration. For example, my stream from a couple days ago where I was basically going ballistic on Concord, there were a few people that pointed out to me, well, like, hey, MBG, like, you're getting really heated right now over this, and you're really, like, going in hard on this game. But don't forget, this is a brand new studio. Sony funded and actually purchased a brand new studio of developers who've never put out anything. So even if everything I'm saying is true, and this thing just comes out and dies instantly, and is just a total failure, it's isolated. It's not like Sony took something great of theirs. I mean, it is resource driven, of course, but that's something that I'm trying to, in that moment, I almost lost sight of that. Is like, that's true. That's true. And I have to acknowledge that side of it as well. So during my criticism, during my moment of being ultra critical, I'm trying to see the whole thing. I'm trying to see the bigger picture and take everything into account here and not just cherry pick and not just have this kind of tunnel vision and especially a tunnel vision that seems to fit in with what the popular narrative is at that moment. You know what I mean? That's all. That's all. I gotta stop saying that. I don't know what's been going on with me lately. I've been ending a lot of my sentences by saying that's all, and I really need to stop doing that. That's possibly one of the worst things for me to say because it's definitely not all I have to say. I'm clearly going to say more. You thought I was going to kick down the door that day? Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I had too much energy. Datboy 2020 or 22, sorry. You're saying PlayStation does narrative-based games best in class. Nintendo does platformers / party games best. Nothing wrong with having a niche for you're known for, in my opinion. Yeah, I agree, man. I agree. Like, I think some of these people are absolutely nuts with what they're like. It's almost like they listen. And this is no offense to Jack and Daxter. And this actually kind of goes into what we're going to talk about. This is no offense to Jack and Daxter. And this is no offense to people who like those types of games. But I think you are out of your mind a little bit. Not completely, but a little bit out of your mind. If you think it would be a good idea for Naughty Dog to go make another Jack and Daxter game, I think you have to be a little bit nuts. Naughty Dog has a level like they have a talent pool that is able to do things in this industry that no one else is able to do. And unless they wanted to make Jack and Daxter like an extremely I don't even want to use the word cinematic, but a very like I don't know how you, I guess we could use the word cinematic, but I mean, something that's really gripping. I guess they could do that. I mean, hell, maybe people would love that, you know? I'm not saying they have to just make one type of game. I'm just simply saying that there should be like a kind of evolution. I don't even know that I want to use the word grounded. I just think that like that would be a step back for a studio like Naughty Dog. I really do. Like I think that they worked on Crash, they did great things with Crash, then they moved on to Jack and Daxter and they did great things with Jack and Daxter, then they moved on to Uncharted and they did great things with Uncharted, and then they moved on to The Last of Us and they did great things with The Last of Us. And I feel like the best thing for a studio like Naughty Dog to do is okay, now move on to something brand new and do something great with that. You know what I mean? It would be so weird to me for a studio. Like, that's not to say we shouldn't get Jack and Daxter. Maybe we should get more Jack and Daxter, but I just don't think Naughty Dog should be the one to make it. Just like I don't think Naughty Dog should make another Uncharted. I don't. I think that would also be a step backwards. I think what we need from a studio with this much talent and this much experience is to take that, and like the industry is in desperate need of new stuff, like new stuff that isn't just the same old tried and true. We've been through this over and over. You know what I mean? Like we need something. I mean, dare I use the word innovative? You know, I don't know what innovation looks like in the games industry in the year 2024. If I knew, maybe I'd go be a game designer and you know, make lots of money. But I just feel like, you know, that's kind of the direction that a team like Naughty Dog should be going in. And they should be taking everything that they learned from making The Last of Us, from making Uncharted, and even from games like Jack and Daxter, and taking that and moving forward and applying that, you know? And I think that kind of speaks to what you're saying here, where it's like being best in class in something. And being best in class in something means there is a set expectation. And not only is there the expectation you have to meet this bar where it is because you put it there, but, you know, we also kind of are hoping you're going to go beyond that. Like you're going to push the envelope, right? Like you're going to not just rate, like you're going to raise the bar again, essentially. That's, I would say that's the expectation for the best of the best, right? Like best in class, anything. And I don't think there's a problem with Sony leaning into that, because I do agree with you. Sony's best in class with narrative based games, you know, these big, as they call it, tentpole AAA single player titles. Like, why would Sony, I don't want to say like, I don't want to say move away from it, right? But why would they take their teams that this is where their expertise lies and say, you should do something completely different? And that kind of does speak to what we were just talking about, is it's like, that kind of almost happened, you know? Like, think about why Naughty Dog said, like, we don't want to go through with releasing this Factions live service game because we would have to commit to it, and there's no way we'd be able to make all the other games that we want to make, the single player games we want to make. It just wouldn't be a possibility for us. And it's like crazy to think like that almost happened. So what would the complaint be then, right? If Naughty Dog made a multiplayer game and Insomniac made a multiplayer game, and then the complaint would simply be like, oh, this is all Sony does is live service now. And it just goes back to the old saying, you're never going to make everybody happy. For as big as Sony is, for as wide-reaching as they are, they're never going to make everybody happy. And that's why when I see these complaints, I mean, even though, ironically enough, I'm talking about it here, but it's why these days when I see these complaints, I just roll my eyes at them, because it's like, listen, just go find something you want. If Sony's not making the shit you want from them, then maybe Microsoft is. And if Microsoft isn't, then maybe Nintendo is. And if Nintendo isn't, then maybe some third-party publisher out there is, because God knows there's a ton of third-party publishers. And if not a AAA third-party publisher, maybe an indie game. There's more indie studios than ever before. You know, it's so weird to me that people, there's almost like this fixation where it's like they'd rather spend their time and energy on things that they don't enjoy rather than seeking out things that they might actually enjoy. And that's why I roll my eyes when I see like, there's another person complaining about the movie game. This, you know, the HBO game. It's like, whatever, man. Like, What about all the people who are enjoying it? What about the millions of people who are buying these games? What about the millions of people who are looking forward to sequels? Does that not count for anything? That is true, Josh. Aren't you always complaining about Sony also, though? That's true. I am, but I also want to say that I do feel like I am being fair, though, in that I do complain about some things Sony's doing and things I disagree with and things that I think should be different, just from my own perspective. But I also am, I'm here acknowledging all the things that I think are good, all the, trying to give credit where it's due. That's something I've tried to put a lot of emphasis on, and I don't think that works very well for people because we live in a society. Yeah, no, really though, we are in a society today where if you are able to see two sides of a coin, nobody wants to hear from you, and you're just going to make everybody mad because what people want is pick your side, which side is right, which side is wrong, and you just stay there. And I'm willing to do that sometimes if I feel that strongly, but most of the time I'm able to see that, well, no, there's more here. There's good and there's bad and they're good. And there's bad and there's good. You got to take both with each other. We also have Money here saying, imagine if Xbox have the best showcase this year. It's possible. Yeah, I wouldn't count them out. Not until they put on the show. It's going to be, I mean, last year, I don't know. Did people think that Microsoft had the best showcase last year? I feel like people were kind of saying that. You're saying fanboys never complain about Sony; they buy everything with a PS logo. I mean, it's a broad statement. I guess it depends on your definition of fanboy, right? Like, I see a lot of very dedicated, and when I say dedicated, I mean people who've been with PlayStation for many years. I see a lot of PlayStation fans and players on my channel that are absolutely not doing that. That are not, like, it's not as simple as if there's a PlayStation logo on it, they're just going to eat it up. I see some of that with some people on the internet. Yeah, I do. And that to me is a little bit like, all right, that's a little weird to me because it's like, it seems like you're more interested in the brand than the actual thing that the brand is producing, and that to me is where things always get a little bit strange. But I've seen a lot of people on my channel that are absolutely loyal PlayStation fans in the sense that they've been supporting PlayStation since the beginning or for many years. And they will call out like, oh, no, I think that's a bad product. Like the PS Portal is a good example. Like I've seen a lot of people be like, no, I think that's kind of dumb. And I get that. Like I totally get where they're coming from. Like, yeah, I could see why you would think that's dumb. Like there definitely is some level of like, why would I want a remote play handheld? I get it. But I've also seen plenty of people that are like, actually, I have a pretty good use case for this, and they end up enjoying it, And the common denominator here is they're both PlayStation fans saying that, you know what I mean? And the person who says, I actually think this product is for me, and I like what they're doing with it, they're not a fanboy. They're not any more a fanboy than somebody who says, this one game that Sony's producing, that a lot of people like for example, I don't think that every PlayStation fan that says, hey, I am looking forward to Concord, I know that it's easy to just turn to that and be like, oh, you're a fanboy. And maybe I was a little bit guilty of that the other day. Some of them, yeah, some people are like that. Some people are like, they're blinded by the brand itself. And we have actually get some Trismegistus coming in. Wait, did it not play? Hold on. Wait, what's going on? There we go. Okay. It's a little bit delayed there, but actually get some Trismegistus drops another 5 memberships for you guys. He drops the 5 bomb. He brings us up to 10 members on the day. Actually, thank you so much, man. Really appreciate the continued support you show, not only me, but the community here as well. Good stuff, bro. And that's the thing, like, not every person who's actually interested in Concord is a PlayStation fanboy, and I think that I leaned too heavily in that, in that direction when I was talking about it. But I realized that yeah, there are absolutely people who, I mean, I don't quite understand it because it's just not for me, but there are people I've seen who are just genuinely interested in Concord. Like, genuinely. Like, it's not because it's PlayStation. It's not because it's a Sony thing. Nothing like that. Like, they're just like, oh, this looks different and kind of interesting, and I'm interested in the gameplay. And I'm like, okay, it's not for me. Actually says, you're welcome, Johnny boy. Thank you, buddy. But at the same time, what I also know is there absolutely are some people out there that the only reason they're willing to give Concord a chance is because of the logo that's associated with it, because of the play. And that's what bothered me a little bit. It's like, I feel like there needs to be a more honest, like, I don't even want to judge those people, because it's like, if that's how you feel, that's your prerogative. But I just want people to be completely honest and open about it. That's all. I think if people were more honest and open about the way they approach this stuff, the conversations could be more, well, I don't know that they would be better, unfortunately, but it would maybe just be easier to kind of understand where somebody's coming from without there being some kind of layer of like, I gotta cut through the nonsense to be able to really see what this person, like, what angle they're coming at me from. You know what I mean? That's all. I'm doing it. I said it again. I said that's all. Why am I saying that's all? Why I need to know why I keep saying this. I've never said this ever, and for the past week, I've been ending my sentences by saying that's all. Why? Why is this happening? What's happening to me, guys? You want some coffee? He seems genuinely interested in the coffee. Too much Looney Tunes? It's your nature. That's all. That's all, folks. But yeah, it's a tough thing, man, because there's just so many people on the internet, and there's so many opinions, and everywhere you go, you're just bombarded with opinions and takes, and I completely understand why the easier thing for people to do is to just kind of find whatever circle, that best fits how, their opinion and aligns with it, and you just kind of stick with that. I do get that, because it's overwhelming out there, man. It's overwhelming. That's the downside to trying to have such an open mind, is when you try to be like super open minded, you kind of get bombarded, and it can be a bit much. I won't lie. Such is life. Yeah, for sure. For sure. Concord looks better than Foam Stars. I think I can actually agree with that. That's a take I think I can get behind. Am I feeling bombarded? Not currently, no. Which is a good thing. We have Arnie Vesper saying, do you use smart gadgets like smart watches, smart house? I mean, I definitely have some, I guess, smart device. Like, I have a smartphone. Mrs. MBG, I know, has an Apple Watch. No, actually, I don't really use stuff like that. No, I don't use many smart devices. My smartphone is really all I use. Well, I guess, I mean, I there is an iPad that I use for, some stuff with YouTube as well. That's about it. But I do suspect that as we go further into the future, everything's going to turn into a smart device. My shoes. I'm going to have a smart hat. Everything. Money here with another super chat. It's 20 the super chat as well. Thank you for that, Money. Saying it's not just fans turning on Sony, the devs too. What do you mean by that, Money? I'm gonna need a little bit more to go off of there. Like, which devs are you talking about specifically? Because you could be right, but I'm not. Like, are you talking? I've really quick. I've thought about getting a dumb phone. Right? You ever see it? Like, oh, I'm gonna get like a one of those. They're like custom phones that are extremely limited, where they only have the basic tools where you can make calls, you can do text, you have like a calculator, and maybe you have like GPS, and that's it. I thought about that, dude. I mean, they call them dumb phones, but or maybe there's another name for them. Oh, I do have a smart. Yeah, I have yeah. All my TVs, I guess, are smart TVs as well. I forgot about that. They don't feel so smart sometimes, though. Did you see the PC Gamer article on Concord? I think it's really worth reading, especially for you, MBG. I did not see this. It's hard to complain about hero shooter fatigue when Concord looks this good. Well, okay. Now that's a headline I wasn't prepared for. You're saying it was clearly paid for? I don't know, man. Maybe this game really is for the PC audience. Maybe it is. Maybe I'll read it. We have OK here with another super chat. Thank you for that, OK, saying, even as a new studio, Firewalk warrants the extra level of scrutiny as they now stand beside and are part of the same family as PlayStation Prestige Studios. Yeah, I get where you're coming from, OK, and I mostly see it that way too, where it's like, yeah, you're now part of the PlayStation Studios family, and for me, I hold the PlayStation Studios group of studios in very high regard. There's a very high expectation, so why should it be any different? But I'm also trying to like separate, like, to me that's like that's like, it's like playing a song note for note. It's like, yeah, that's the way the song was written. You got to play it that way. But then, you know, also understanding that if somebody's learning to play the song, they're likely going to go a little bit off. You know what I mean? Like, it might not be exactly the same. They're still figuring it out. I'm trying to just like kind of keep it in mind that this is a new studio. That even though Sony bought them and Sony said, we are putting you up there right next to all these other studios, I'm trying to just keep in mind the objective truth, like just the factual truth that like they have not made a game. And if anything, listen, I'll put it to you this way, okay? If Concord, if it does flop and it turns out that, you know, it's just like, it's just a game that nobody really wants. It's not going to find an audience, and it's just very clear that this game didn't do well. Like, I mean, we just saw what happened to a game like Suicide Squad: Kill the Justice League. I mean, that's like the epitome. Like, for me, that's like as bad as it gets. Where it's like that's a severe flop. I actually think Concord might be able to do better than that. But if that's what were to happen, to me, that would be more reflective of Sony, like specifically PlayStation as a whole, of like, and this is a studio you thought was worth buying. You know what I mean? Like, it would be harder for me to actually blame the studio at that point, because that's the game that they chose to make. And, obviously, like, I almost just wonder if the developers or the studio heads of Firewalk, if they were like kind of surprised, like, oh, Sony wants to buy us. Yeah, because I still find myself a little bit surprised that, here's the thing. The reason why I find myself a little bit surprised that Sony was so quick to buy this studio is because they already had a partnership with them. You know what I mean? Like, they already secured Concord as an exclusive, and it was going to launch as a PS5 and PC game. I would have thought that the trajectory would have been for Sony to watch and see what happens and then buy them. But then again, hold on now. Look at Arrowhead, right? Sony didn't acquire Arrowhead. And Sony I would assume Sony didn't have any interest in acquiring Arrowhead prior to launch of Helldivers 2, but after it launched and it took off, I think Sony kind of realized like the train has left the station. Like we're not going to be able. There's no way they're going to agree to being acquired now. They're too big, and they even Arrowhead even talked about themselves. They're like, we want to see how high we can fly, and that's with or without Sony, man, as a studio. So yeah, I mean, on one hand, I can kind of understand why they made the investment so quickly, and they're like, let's just tag them and bag them. Because I guess worst case scenario, if their game flops, we shut them down, and it's like nothing ever happened because that's what would have happened either way. Like, you know what I mean? If the game was meant to fail, no matter what, whether PlayStation owns it or not, the studio would cease to exist more than likely. So maybe that's the mentality behind it. But I do get where exactly where you're coming from. Okay, it's just one of these things where it's like when we talk about acquisitions and publisher and studio acquisitions, like, was Spider-Man 2018 really a Sony game because Sony at the time didn't own Insomniac? You know what I mean? It's like the technicality of it all, where it's like, well, yeah, it's a Sony game, but yeah, they also didn't own them at that time. You know what I mean? I guess it's one of these things where both things can kind of be true at the same time. That's how I view it. There's nuance, is what I'm trying to say. There's nuance to it. We have Panther X saying, "Hey MBG, did you see the Elden Ring DLC review? They are saying that there are 10 new bosses and 100 new weapons. I'm not leaving the house that week." Yeah, we talked about it a little bit earlier in the stream. I did see it. It sounds very good. It sounds, again, man, as I said earlier, it just sounds like From Software doing what they do best. Elden Ring, for a lot of people, is basically the game of the generation, and they're just delivering more of it. And yeah, I think it's going to do really, really well. I think a lot of people are feeling that way. As I said, the game seems everything I'm hearing about it, it's much harder than Elden Ring was. Like they are ramping up the difficulty, and that is so intimidating to me because I really struggled with Elden Ring, especially towards the end. I still have to think about it. That's all. I still have to think about it. But I won't lie, man. When I see like the footage and I see I see some of the boss battles, I'm like, man, this looks so awesome. Looks so good. Did I use summons? Absolutely. I have no shame in admitting that. Yeah, dude, I needed summons for some of those boss battles. I'm not even gonna front, dude. I think I'm losing my skill a little bit as I get older. I don't know. I Yeah, I think I might be losing my skill because I don't remember having this hard of a time beating like the 3 Dark Souls games and Bloodborne. Hold on, I think Leia wants to come in. Give me one sec. Never mind. That was not Leia. Actually, that was a little MBG messing around near the door. I thought it was Leia scratching the door. See, that's why. People wonder why I put that screen up when I go to. That's why, because I never know what's going to be waiting out there for me. I never know what's going to be waiting out there. You never summoned. I would say that's pretty impressive. I think so. Actually, you're saying Konami has confirmed Blooper Team has updated Silent Hill 2 for a modern audience, which is clear with the massacre of Angela and many other characters. So it's a hard pass. I don't buy games for modern audiences. Dude, I will say, like, I was looking at what they did to Angela, and especially when comparing it to the original, it's just like, what are you doing? Why? I just don't get it, man. Like I don't understand. Like, why, if you look at that, the remake of Silent Hill 2, and you look at that picture, not even the picture, but just watch the game, like watch that segment of the game. Why did you make her look terrible? Like, if that's how, if she looked anything like that in the original, no one would care. No one would be complaining right now. No one would be bitching about it, because it's like, yeah, that looks pretty much like an updated version of how she originally looked in the 2001 game that released on PlayStation 2. But that's not, it's the opposite. It's, I actually watched a comparison. Like, I watched the footage. I went back and I'm watching Silent Hill 2, the PlayStation 2 version, this exact scene, and I'm looking at these characters, and then I'm watching the remake, and I'm like, dude, what did they do to this? Like, they purposely uglified her, dude. It's ridiculous. Like, they went out of their way to make this character just look, they know what they're doing. Hold on now. Hold on. Now that's interesting. You're saying Bloober Team remade the characters referencing the original concept art of the original creator. The voice acting too. Yeah, the voice acting was not great. I mean, look, I can't deny I'm still going to play Silent Hill 2. I'm a sucker for it. I've been waiting too long. But what the fuck are they, like? What, I just question like what they're doing. Let me look this up myself. Silent Hill 2 original Angela, not Maria. Original Angela concept art. Let's see if I can find it. Hold on now, everybody. Hold the phone now. I thought you were kind of messing around here. I think you might be right. If what I'm looking at is the original concept art, I don't know. Hold on. It's weird because no, dude, no. I kind of see, I see what you're getting at here. So here's what I'll say. I'm looking at the original concept art. I might bring these pictures up so you can see it for yourself. Let me hold on. Let me save them here. I'm looking at the original concept art, and I get where you're coming from. Where it's like, okay, yeah, there are certain aspects of this updated character model, and let me see if I can find hold on. All right. I have a bunch of pictures here. I'm going to bring them up on screen. I'm going to read these super chats in just a moment. But let me see. So, first we'll start with... All right, first I'm going to show you... Here's the original concept art. So apparently, from what I can find, this is the original concept art of Angela. All right. It's not letting me save this one image though. Hold on. That's the original concept art. And then this is what she looked like in the PS2 or for the PS2 version. Okay. And then here is the remake. Sorry it's taking me so long. I'm just doing this on the fly. All right. What's up, guys? It's me, Angela here. But do you so if I'm looking at all three of these images objectively, if I if I'm looking at all three of these images objectively, I'm starting with the concept art because the concept art is the true vision of what this character is supposed to look like. And then on the right, I'm looking at, or on my right, I'm looking at the PS2 version. And then on the left, I'm looking at the remake version. Dude, the PS2 version, hands down, looks much closer to the concept art. Like, I will say, if you look at the concept art, she has a more round face. Her jaw's not nearly as pronounced. And maybe the nose is a little bit different. But, like, if I look at the other image of the remake, it just looks like... It looks like they made her jaw and her chin, like, specifically her jaw, like, 3 times bigger than it should be. The nose looks completely different. Even the lips look different, dude. The lips look way off. Nothing about this looks closer to the original concept art. It's just the angle. Wait, hold on, you disagree. You think this looks closer to the concept art. Let me see if I can find it. Maybe there's another picture here with the remake. Hold on. Let me see. All right, I have another picture here of Angela. Hold on. See, I'm interested in this because this is the thing that people are making like the biggest deal about, and I do kind of I get where they're coming from because it's like, yeah, it's quite jarring. Let me see. Let me get. It's not letting me save it for some reason. I'll never understand why some images it lets me save and just immediately bring on, but others it won't. Here's another one. I feel like this one looks better. This one definitely looks a lot better, I think. Like that's a much more flattering angle. So I am wondering if maybe a little bit of it is people finding certain angles. Mm. And then I'll bring. Wait, I think that's. See if I can find any other comparison images. Here's another one. This one's a direct comparison from the original game to what we're seeing now. If it actually let me save the picture, which it doesn't look like. I guess this was just a random tweet. I don't know who this person is, but well, I don't know. What do you guys think? Don't you get tired of this stuff? I mean, I definitely do, but to be fair, I don't normally bring comparison pictures up. So I kind of wanted to just throw this up here so you guys can determine for yourselves. We have the original concept art, the PS2 version, and the updated remake version. This is Exley's fault. Let me get these out of here, though. I mean, I'm still going to play it. I won't lie. I'm still looking forward to it. Sean Mitchell, you're saying, finally got my PSVR 2 MBG. Amazon are doing 17% off them in the UK right now for anyone that's thinking about it. Thank you for letting me know, Sean, because I didn't know. I mean, I knew that the 17% off, is that for the days of play, or is that something specifically with Amazon? Because I know that Sony took like $100 off, at least temporarily, for PSVR 2. Hicksock, you're saying you wanted to love PSVR 2, but you couldn't. You tried, but you couldn't get into it. I mean, I don't know, man. I haven't had the urge at all. I won't lie to play PSVR 2. At least not recently. But Sean, I hope you do enjoy it, man. Ex Cathedra says, for those asking why people care, why do you care that they care? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Uno reverse here. Now, I think, listen, I think it's understandable why people would notice it, because here's something else that I want to point out, though, is that, like, it's not just Angela that looks different. Like, every character in this looks different. Like, if you look at James or Maria. I mean, we didn't really show a lot of Maria, but if you look at James, like he basically looks like a knockoff Leon now. I mean, he looks very different from the PS2 version and the original. I don't know how similar it looks to the concept art. I didn't see the concept art of James before, but I just think that it's understandable that people are going to be kind of jarred, just like, no matter what, because it looks different. But we are in a time where there does seem to, like, listen, I'm not here to talk about it because I've talked about it ad nauseum, and I just don't want to go down this road again, because you already know how I feel. But yeah, there is an agenda in the games industry, in all industries really, but it's very prominent in the games industry. And I am convinced, listen, this is all I'm going to say about it, I promise. I am convinced that at this point in time, this type of stuff is being done purposely to garner a big reaction. I think to these video game companies and to these video game publishers, I think the most important thing is to make sure people are talking about it and people are reacting. You know how the old saying goes, sorry. The old saying is, oh, all publicity is good publicity. I think that's very much what we're watching right now. I think we are just watching because you these people are not stupid. You know what I mean? Like they know what they're doing. They know how the internet's going to react. They know what's going to happen. And I think maybe at this point in time in 2024 in the video game industry, the biggest fear for all video game companies is to be totally to garner a response of complete and total apathy. Where it's just like nobody cares, nobody's even paying attention, and nobody's talking about it. I mean, I don't know that's just my theory. I don't know for sure that's what's going on. But what I do know is that everybody's talking about Concord. Everybody's talking about Silent Hill 2 Remake. And I'm not saying that they're saying good things. There's just a lot of fighting. But it's all over my feed. It's everywhere I look. And it feels like it's just happening on such a recurring basis that it tells me that there has to be something to it. Because I think most of us feel like when stuff feels like it's being forced or it's just being done for a reason that seems disingenuous, I think we can all kind of agree that doesn't feel very good. Like we would prefer it to be the other way around, right? And so we would think, okay, well, if it flops and it does bad, then then it's because everybody was angry at it. And it's like, I don't necessarily know that that's true. The things that flop the hardest are the things that nobody knows about, nobody cares about. And the things that just kind of pass people on by. Titus, you're saying you did feel apathetic towards Silent Hill? I'm sure you're not the only one. I think a lot of people still do feel apathetic regardless, yeah. But yeah, I mean, the one thing I will say I did like about the Silent Hill 2 presentation was I think that they really nailed the atmosphere. I mean, it's not quite it's not identical to the original because I mean, the original had such a heavy fog that I mean, we know why they did that. It was because of like technical limitations. Like you could really only see like a foot in front of you and whatnot. And I think that they eased up on that a little bit so you could see a little bit more. But because the detail's so much higher, I think that they did nail the atmosphere. I did appreciate when I was watching the segments where he was kind of just walking around the town, and walking around the school. Like I did feel like, okay, I think Bloober Team got this one right. At least for me, that's how I felt. But yeah, that's going to be interesting to see, actually. Yeah. You're saying that, because it seems like this is being built for a modern audience, that they may end up fumbling on the, as you put it, these psychosexual themes in Silent Hill 2. I'm interested to see how they handle that as well. Because I'm of the mindset that if this truly is like I guess the way we could put it, a modern woke game, right? If that's really what they turned it into, you will see stuff changed for sure. Like the way that they talk about it or the way that it's presented, it will change. Because yeah, that is one of the major themes of Silent Hill 2 is that, and it's heavy stuff, and it. It's one of the aspects that made the game so dark in some ways, and so just uncomfortable, where you're talking about a game where it's not about jump scares making you go, oh, it's more like, oh man, the human psyche can be a very disturbing, messed up thing. And I'm very curious to see how they handle it, man. Titus, I agree. That's why I'm looking forward to seeing how it's all handled. You're saying modernization is just trying not to offend anyone. Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. I think that's hugely problematic. Yeah, when you're trying to make a product that's like we don't want to offend anybody. Um, I feel like that's automatically you already lost because it's like you're not gonna ever please everybody. Like you're more liable to make everybody mad at you by not, by trying not to offend everybody. Do I know anything about the story? I do. Yeah, I'm just trying not to talk about it too deeply because I don't want to, I'm not. I don't want to spoil anything for anybody. We'll talk about it when when the game comes out when we play it. A game for everyone is a game for no one. Quoting Arrowhead CEO. Yeah, it's a good quote. It's a good, yeah, multiple people quoting Arrowhead CEO. It is a good quote. I forgot that he said that. All right, so I do want to I did want to ask you guys because we were originally talking about Summer Game Fest. I just wanted to ask you guys before we move on to another topic, just to kind of circle all the way back to Summer Game Fest. PlayStation is confirmed to be there. We did get a report a couple of days ago that PlayStation First Party, specifically PlayStation First Party, so PlayStation Studios is going to show up at Summer Game Fest. I just wanted to ask you guys, realistically speaking, without having unrealistic expectations, realistically, what do you think Sony's going to show up with at Summer Game Fest? Death Stranding 2 and Phantom Blade Zero. Okay. Those are actually two pretty good guesses. Spider-Man 2 DLC. Those, I will say, those three right there, I think are probably, like, Phantom Blade Zero is not first party, but I think that could show up. Death Stranding 2 is likely to show up just because Kojima, Jeff Keighley, But we already did see Death Stranding 2 this year, so I don't know. Actually, I agree with you, man. For sure. For sure. Can't just tick the boxes. Do you think we're going to see more Concord? That would be a bold play. That would be a bold strategy on Sony's part. Just in case you didn't see enough at the State of Play, here's another trailer. Yeah, they could show up. Yeah, no, actually, I'm laughing about that, but that absolutely could be what they're planning on doing. All right, so we're looking at Death Stranding 2, maybe. Phantom Blade Zero, maybe. Spider-Man 2 DLC, maybe. More Concord, maybe that's more likely, but maybe. Lego Horizon. The Lego Horizon one is interesting to me. Because, yeah, what we heard is that Lego Horizon game, the trailer is ready to release. Like, the trailer's done, it's ready to release. So that's exactly what I was thinking of, actually. It's a bold play, Cotton. Let's see how it turns out. Quote the movie Dodgeball. It's a good movie. Will Lego Horizon be multiplayer? If I'm not mistaken, the Lego games always have a kind of couch co-op aspect to them, don't they? So I would hope that it would. That'd be cool. I know Mrs. MBG would be excited to play that. She's not really into Horizon at all, but she loves the idea of a Horizon Lego game, and I think she actually would want to play it. So if it had co-op, that'd be cool. I'd play with her. I'd be down for that. So I do wonder if that will show up. I do wonder who's making it. I do wonder if Guerrilla Games themselves is just making it. You have almost all the Lego games? Yeah, there's a lot of Lego games. We have Josh Z with a $10 super chat. Thank you for that, Josh. Saying the Silent Hill backlash is definitely more justified than when people accuse Square of making Tifa's boobs smaller, not realizing that it was a sports bra because she's a martial artist. Oof. Oof. Yeah, I saw that. That was pretty cringe to see. You know, you can't win them all. And in that case, they definitely, some people definitely played themselves. She's wearing a sports bra. She's a martial artist. That's realistic. Damn, Josh. Yeah, I get what you're saying though, Josh. Like I agree. It is more justified because it's more like there's not really just like a flat out like here's the reason, and this reason makes total perfect logical sense, and it's clear cut. People that were losing it over that with Tifa, yeah, the reason was clear cut. Like, bro, it's a sports bra. Chill. I love it, Josh. That's funny. I almost forgot about that. Thank you. Like that was almost completely out of my brain and my mind, but Josh had to bring it right back. I'm just kidding. What are you gonna do though? Internet's gonna internet. You know what I mean? I have a report here. Naughty Dog won't be the Last of Us studio forever, says Neil Druckmann. Damn. Neil Druckmann showing that self-awareness. Yeah, we hear you. We know. We're just the Last of Us studio. Dude, the amount of jokes that people make about Naughty Dog with remakes and remasters, pretty warranted. Not going to lie. Pretty warranted. But it says here, Naughty Dog studio head Neil Druckmann has reassured fans that it will not be working on The Last of Us forever, sharing in a new interview with the LA Times, the developer has, quote, multiple single-player projects in production. And he added, quote, I promise you we will not be The Last of Us studio forever. In his 40, I said his 40, like Neil Druckmann's been working in the industry for 40 years. In its 40-year history, Naughty Dog has worked on many franchises from Crash Bandicoot, Jak and Daxter, through to Uncharted. However, since the 2017 release of Uncharted The Lost Legacy, the team has been working exclusively on The Last of Us games. It launched The Last of Us 2 in 2020, then remade the original Last of Us, and then worked on The Last of Us 2 Remastered earlier this year. The focus on re-releases has been a disappointment for some fans, and much of the developer's efforts in recent years would have been spent on the now canceled Last of Us multiplayer project. Despite the comments from Druckmann, it still sounds like The Last of Us 3 will be a thing in the future. While it's almost certainly not going to be the studio's next release, the head of creative has a concept, or Neil Druckmann has a concept for a third installment. As such, there's probably one more chapter to the story. So, dude, listen, I feel like this is getting to a point where this is about the second or third time that Neil Druckmann specifically, and I mean Naughty Dog as a whole, but Neil Druckmann specifically has said yeah, we have multiple games in development, and they're single player games, and he has hinted multiple times, even in the last couple of weeks, that it's a new IP, it's a new game. It's not The Last of Us, it's not Uncharted, it's something new. And I'm just like, dude, when are you guys going to show this thing? Because it's getting a little bit like, all right, we hear you, but we're going to need to see it, I'm getting it. Just it's almost beginning to feel like just you wait. You know what I mean? It's almost beginning to feel like that, where it's like, all right, come on, just you wait. We're not going to be we're not going to be the Naughty Dog studio. We're not going to be the Last of Us studio forever. I mean, look, I'm not even saying he's talking too much. It's not that. I don't mind Like, I don't mind hearing from studio heads and from Neil Druckmann. It's fine, but it's just like it's starting to feel painful. Where it's like, please stop teasing these new games. Please stop talking about them because like we know, like we've been waiting for like just some kind of new reveal, and it's it's just not happening. So I don't know when it's gonna happen. Here's what I will say. I hope maybe a lot of hopium here. I hope that maybe because he keeps referencing it, like this is again like the second or third time this year that they've referenced their new game. It's a new game. And they still haven't announced it. That surely you guys are going to announce this new game this year, right? Like you're not just going to keep talking about it and then just not announce it, right? September? Come on. You're saying the hate on Neil over here is insane. I do think Neil Druckmann's probably overhated to a degree, yeah, but I think he's also overdefended. Like I think the two, it's a tug of war where I don't think Neil Druckmann should be discussed that much so intensely. That's what I think. You think part of it is because of politics? Yeah, probably. But just talking from a pure like gaming standpoint, like video games, like I don't think Neil Druckmann is. I don't know, man. Like I don't know what to say. Like I mean, what happened recently was worth talking about. That was pretty crazy to see where he was he was straight up misquoted by Sony themselves, and he called out Sony himself. That was pretty funny. But that was like the biggest thing that occurred with Neil Druckmann, as far as I'm aware, gaming wise. Over defending MBG. Find me any comments over defending him. Well, I will say I think he definitely gets more hate than defense. Yeah, but no, I've definitely encountered people like defending Neil Druckmann, and the thing is, I don't feel the need to fight them because it's like, dude, I'm not like Neil Druckmann doesn't really confront me, man. He just, it's like he has his own beliefs and his own agenda, and all I can really ask for is for any look. I expect any creator who has their own beliefs and their own feelings on things. I do expect like that's going to probably make its way into the thing that they're making, the piece of art that they're making. My only thing is to just do it subtly. Subtlety goes a long way. That's all. But my whole thing with Naughty Dog, though, is I just don't think this is the smartest way to go about it. You know what I mean? Like knowing that Neil Druckmann is so divisive and he gets so much hate, I just don't see how it can be viewed as we should have this man talk about a new game they're making without revealing anything about it. Like you're only going to frustrate people. You know what I mean? Like this is very much a situation of show don't tell. Like Naughty Dog has a lot of haters now. Neil Druckmann specifically has a lot of haters. And it's like, I'm not saying that they should feel like, oh, we're scared to talk. It's not like that. It's more like the wisest thing to do, the most logical thing to do would be don't say anything and just let the game you're going to reveal speak for itself. Because if Naughty Dog is making a game that looks really good and is overall universally appealing, where it's like pretty much everybody can look at each other and be like, whoa, that looks really good. And we don't know it's Naughty Dog until afterwards. You know, do you get what I'm saying? It's like, did you guys like? Are you guys seeing this? Look at this new game reveal from PlayStation, and it looks incredible. It's like, holy shit, this looks awesome. And then at the end, it says Naughty Dog. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, this is how you win people back, and you show people like it's something new. You know, I just don't think putting Neil Druckmann out there and having him just kind of keep saying like, yeah, we're making something new. Yeah, we got single player games in development. It's like, okay. I just don't think this is creating the type of excitement or interest that that you might think it is. That's all. We'll see. We'll see if it shows up this year. I hope it does. It should. I think it would be kind of whack if they kept teasing this game and then they like just didn't reveal it. That'd be ridiculous to me. You're saying Kojima gets love because even though he has an ego, he always seems happy and enthusiastic. Kojima's also just silly. I feel like people don't talk about that when they talk about Kojima. Like, it's actually really weird to see Kojima and Neil Druckmann like seem to be, people talk about them in like the same space sometimes. But it's like, dude, Kojima's a completely different person. Like, from top, like you could just tell, like he's just a completely different person in his own, like he's just on another planet, dude. And Kojima, he is absolutely known for being silly and funny and kind of like charming in that sense, where it's like he knows how to kind of make people laugh and smile, and he has that kind of charisma. And I feel like Neil Druckmann lacks charisma. Truthfully, like I feel like Neil Druckmann has like, if this was like an RPG, he has like minimal points in charisma, and that's fine. Like, you don't need charisma to be good at what you do. But I think that's absolutely the difference. Is Kojima is like, he just exudes charisma, and people like that, you know. But you know, at the end of the day, man, like the proof is in the pudding, right? The proof is in the pudding, and I can't deny that some of the things that Naughty Dog, like I can't deny that Neil Druckmann was involved with The Last of Us 1, and The Last of Us 1 is like one of my favorite games of all time. Can't deny that Neil Druckmann's not solely responsible for it, but yeah, he was part of it. You know, so it's like, all right, yeah. You know, I'm not going to strip credit away from people, but we'll see. The proof will be in the pudding. Co-directed, yeah. You're saying we should be close to the reveal. Neil's talking about it openly. That's what I'm starting to think too. Yeah, he was the writer and director. That's what I'm saying. Like, I'm not going to pretend he wasn't. You know what I mean? And we have actually get some Trismegistus dropping another 5 memberships for you guys.
Get some! Get some!
He's still getting some. Some say actually still getting some till this day. Thank you for that, buddy. That brings us up to 15 members on the day. Guys, we are 10 bomb away. We're 110 bomb away from feeding the beast. Trying to see if Boss recognizes that terminology yet. We're 10 memberships away from feeding the beast. From feeding Boss? Oh, he recognized that. He's like, huh? What's that? Thank you for that, Exley. I appreciate it, buddy. But yeah, he did not care. All right. So I will say one last thing before we move on, and that is if we are going to see Naughty Dog's game this year revealed, I think it's going to happen in September or with the PS5 Pro. Actually, you know what? I think there's a pretty decent chance. The more I think about it, because like one thing we can say about Naughty Dog is they know how to take the graphical fidelity to the next level. We have not seen Naughty Dog. We honestly we haven't seen what they can do on the PS5. And that's interesting. Like, yeah, we got The Last of Us Part 1, but that's a remake from a PS3 game. We got The Last of Us Part 2 remastered. That's a remaster of a PS4 game. We have yet to see what Naughty Dog can do with just the PS5. And so if I'm Sony and if I'm Naughty Dog, I'm like, well, guys, we should probably save your reveal for the PS5 Pro. Like, I guess what I'm trying to say is, what if one of the first games we see on the PS5 Pro is a brand new Naughty Dog game? Not trying to get myself too excited here, but I gotta admit, like, that'd be pretty fucking sweet. Will it be melee based, Hanzo? That's a great question. That is a great question, because if you watch that documentary that they put out, the making of The Last of Us Part 2, they originally wanted to make The Last of Us Part 2 like purely melee based. And they were talking about how they were heavily inspired by Bloodborne, which I thought that this was just insane. I'm like, dude, what? But they said it just wasn't working out, and I wouldn't be surprised if this new game they're making is a game that's like melee based combat that's somehow inspired by Bloodborne. I would not be surprised, because I feel like they kind of hinted at that. But yeah, the melee combat in The Last of Us Part 2 is really good. But I do think if, like, I don't think it's going to be like a post-apocalyptic game or anything like that. Hello, boss. It's not time. It's not time to feed the beast yet. We still need 10 more memberships. We'll see if we get there before the end of the stream, boss. All right? Hang tight. So you guys were asking me earlier to read this article from PC Gamer. Hold on. Yeah, Naughty Dog's making a Souls-like. That'd be so cool. I would think that was so cool, honestly. I'm not going to lie. Like a really cinematic Souls-like would be a hell of a... With like the absolute best graphical fidelity you've ever seen. You're saying that would be weird? Well, the thing is, if they make a Souls-like, I think it would be... I don't know that people would really call it a Souls. Like, I mean, I guess they still would, no matter what. But it will have like certain Naughty Dog, like it will have Naughty Dog's level of presentation, the cinematic level. It'll have the cutting edge graphical fidelity. You know, that would be pretty cool, dude. It would be Hellblade with actual combat. Oh, damn! Shots fired. Honestly, though, yeah, yeah, maybe. I actually, yeah, I can kind of see where you're coming from. Having that level of graphical fidelity and storytelling, and like character depth, but like Dark Souls / Elden Ring / Bloodborne type combat and boss battles and exploration. That, oh my god, that sounds incredible. Holy shit! I don't want to get. I gotta calm down now. Okay, we have no idea what Naughty Dog's making, but if that's what Naughty Dog's making, I will be on board. Yes, if Naughty Dog's like, we're going in a different direction, boys, I can get on board with that. It sounds amazing. Not happening. Yeah, probably not. Sounds too good to be true. Therefore, it is. Would we be okay with 30 frames though? I mean, if Naughty Dog came out and like, you know, had the best graphics ever, like literally ever, like, oh wow, that looks like real life. That's like indistinguishable from real life. And they're like, but it has to be at 30. I'd be like, I'm disappointed. But I okay. You know? Be like, whatever. I will say though, if they're taking advantage of the PS5 Pro, I want to say Naughty Dog probably has the skill, you know, like the engineering skill to be able to get it up to 60. Oh, boss, you got catnip all over me, bro. There was this article though that you guys wanted me to read from PC Gamer, and it's about Concord. And the title of the article says it's hard to complain about hero shooter fatigue when Concord looks this good. They say here, I was on Who's this written by? I guess this is a opinion piece. Morgan Park. I don't know who this is. I was on vacation last week, so I got to experience the reveal of Sony's new multiplayer FPS like everyone else, forgetting a state of play stream was happening, tuning in 15 minutes late, then rewinding to the beginning thanks to the magic of modern live streaming. Sony only had 2 big games of its own to showcase, not unexpected since slowly seems to be the permanent pace of big budget game development, but I was surprised that while everyone around me was hooing and hollering about Astrobot, I was the only one who wanted to see more Concord. I keep seeing variations of the same 3 reactions to Firewalk's debut game, that it's an Overwatch clone, another Dead on Arrival service game, or a multiplayer game that should be single player. That's not what I saw. The cynicism around service games is earned, but when I look at Concord, I see heroes that I don't recognize from other games, intricately designed guns I want to shoot, in a format of FPS that we rarely get outside of Call of Duty games these days. We've barely gotten a glimpse at Concord so far, but I have some thoughts about the reveal. I don't know, man. I feel like they already lost me by saying, like, we're seeing heroes that we haven't seen before. Like, again, I feel like I've seen these characters. I know they're, like, new names and stuff, but it's like I feel like I've seen these characters in so many other games. And Corey the Legend Landiga comes in the name of boss. He says we feed the beast. He drops a 10 bomb. Him and Exley doing work today for the community, bringing us up to the goal of 25.
Holy shit.
You love to see it, man.
Boast, do you read me?
It's time to go.
It's time to feed the beast.
Time to feed the beast. Snacks. Like pouring it on his head. That's thanks to Corey and Exley, boss. They love you. They love you so. And Hellbound 1981. Always there for boss. Following up Corey with another 5 bomb. You guys are incredible. Thank you so much for that. Just like that, we went from 15 members to 30 members. Full-blown membership train. Let's see here. What soundbite haven't I played in a while? Oh. Okay. I mean, I guess that could be a good scream, right? That's the membership train scream. That's the membership train scream. You know we're on a member train when you hear that scream. Corey, Hellbound, thank you guys, and Exley as well. I really have to update my soundbites. I was trying to find. Gaming Survivor, bro. Why is that so funny though? Capono, I'm sorry. Was that still too loud, Capono? You're saying my AirPods? Let me fix it. Let me fix it for you. I will lower it, okay? Give me one moment so I can. All right, I lowered it. I'm going to play it again. I lowered it by like half. So I need some feedback. I didn't turn it up. No, I'm not. What do you think I am, a monster? I didn't turn it up. I lowered it. I'm going to play it again. I just want to make sure it's okay. You ready? 3, 2, 1. I need some feedback. Was that good? Is that better? Now it's too low. You lowered the volume in anticipation of making it higher. I wouldn't do that, dude. I wouldn't want to hurt people's ears like that. Is that the gopher screaming? It is. Yeah. It's one of my favorite videos ever, bro. I'll never forget when I first saw that. I can't. I don't know if I've laughed as hard since I first saw that. I was dying. But we're in agreement. The sound's good now for that. I don't want to hurt anybody's ears in the future. But thank you guys for crushing the member goal today. We went beyond 25. We're sitting at 30 now. Amazing support. There we go. What games am I playing right now? Actually, right now, I mean, I finished up Stellar Blade. Awesome game. Don't think I'm going to platinum it. I don't know. I saw this image earlier and it really resonated with me. Do you guys know the image of the two people on the bus, and there's two windows and they both have like cameras, and the one person is looking out one side of the bus and they're very happy taking a picture, and the other person is like depressed and just like, sad, looking down with this like just melancholic look on their face. I think you guys know what image I'm talking about. And on the side where the person was happy and there was sunshine, it said beating a game. And on the side where the person was sad and depressed and melancholic, it said 100%ing a game. And it really resonated with me, where I'm like, I think that's true these days, man. Like, not for every game, of course, but I do find that I'm getting to a point where I'm finding myself just genuinely thoroughly satisfied by just completing a game. Rather than feeling like, oh, I need to platinum it. It's not to say that I don't want to platinum any more games, but it's just, I think my threshold has been lowered for like, what games do I really want to platinum? And I think at this point, there's only going to be a select few. I could be wrong. Maybe I'm just going through a lull period. I don't know. Maybe I'm just kind of taking a break. Because at the beginning of this year, I thought I was going to like try to get to like 75 platinums or something. And I don't know. Now I'm just like, I don't really care if I even get to 50. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if that changes or not. Antonio, you're saying MBG Behavior Interactive Dead by Daylight is laying off up to 95 developers, mostly in its Montreal studio, in new structural changes to pursue a clarified version. Second round of layoffs this year. That sucks, dude. Yeah, I mean, speaking of what I play, I still do play Dead by Daylight because it's a game that me and Mrs. MBG basically play like 2 to 3 rounds of every night. It's just part of our routine. It's like kind of part of our I say it's part of our relaxation routine, but no, it's not relaxing. I won't lie. Like, dude, I played Dead by Daylight is the epitome of a game where I practically hate it now. I won't lie. Like, I almost hate this game because I've overplayed it, and I definitely need to find something else to play with Mrs. MBG because it's not fun anymore, man. Like, it's very much a routine thing that we do together. But you have 1,000 hot pockets. But yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know what the future of Dead by Daylight looks like. I know that they just announced like their Dungeons and Dragons collaboration, and I think they're going on like what, 8 years now? Like, the game's been going on for 8 years, so I don't know how much longer they have, really. I don't know. I will say there is one thing that Dead by Daylight announced that genuinely has me excited, because it sounds like an actual game changer, where they did announce that I don't know when it's releasing. I don't know if it's like this month or later in the year. a mode where there can be 2 killers and 8 survivors. And the 2 killers, I guess, like just team up. Like that actually sounds fascinating. Like as somebody who practically hates the game now and I want to be done with it and just find other games to play, that is like the one thing that I'm like, okay, when you guys drop that, I'm going to try it out because that sounds genuinely interesting. Could be terrible. Could be terrible. I'm going to play Concord with Mrs. MEG. Yeah, plot twist, bro. Plot twist. I could easily be a DLC killer character in Dead by Daylight. I don't know whether to be flattered or offended, but I would love to be a killer in Dead by Daylight. Yeah. What would my special ability be? What would my Mori be? How would I Mori people? Would I like take out a dual sense and like I'm not going to describe what I would do because I don't want to get demonetized here, but I'm sure you guys could think of some creative things. Dude, I still can't believe they brought Nicolas Cage to that game. Like, that feels so weird to me, dude. Like, sometimes when I'm playing it, there's just Nicolas Cage there, and I'm like, why did they do this again? What makes it so weird is they haven't brought on, like, any other actors or, like, famous people. It's just Nicolas Cage. It's just Nicolas Cage, dude. It's, yeah, I guess in a way it is perfect. Nick Cage is just built different. That's all after ending someone. Because Nick Cage is cheaper than real actors. Damn. They should put Phil Spencer in the game. It's so funny imagining certain people being put into Dead by Daylight just because of the circumstances of that game. All right, let's see here. "47 minutes ago, Destiny 2 Guardians make their own fate. Destiny 2, the final shape is available now." How many people are playing on Steam right now? Destiny 2 charts. 250,000 people playing Destiny 2 right now. The peak for Destiny 2 in the last 24 hours was 250,000. Oh, I guess it just peaked. Oh, yeah, it just peaked right now. So I guess we'll see. So here's what's interesting. Here's what's interesting about Destiny 2 right now and the final shape launching. The all-time peak for this game, on Steam anyway, not talking about consoles, but just Steam. The all-time peak for Destiny 2 on Steam happened 15 months ago at 316,750 players. Do you think in the next couple of hours maybe, or by tonight, we could see... Do you think there's any chance that with this final shape DLC, they could surpass their all-time peak? Do you think that's a possibility? I mean, they're not... Like, they're kind of far away from it. Like, they're over 50,000 players away from it. They're, like, close to, like... What was that, like 60 or 65,000 players? I wonder if they can do it. I want to say it's a possibility. Maybe I'll keep an eye on that. Because if they were able to do that, I do think that would be an easy way to like judge just how successful this final shape DLC would actually be. Dead by Daylight Studio Behavior Interactive laying off up to 95 employees, approximately 7% of its workforce. 7%. Wow, okay, there's a lot of people working at Behavior Interactive. I didn't realize they had that many. If 95 people is only is 7%, there's a lot of people working at behavior. Steam peak isn't usually till around 10:30 at night Eastern time. Nobody can play right now. The servers are getting hammered. Oh, okay. Interesting. I guess that makes sense. Well, I don't know though. Wouldn't they have been prepared for that? Maybe, yeah, more people are hopping on than they expected. Saying check Paul Tassi, saying the servers are down. Okay. I mean, that's like bad, but maybe also kind of a good sign in a way. You know what I mean? So we talked about this very briefly yesterday, but I want to bring it up here one more time. Just because I think some people may have missed this, but I think it's going to be pretty important going forward. So, a lot of you probably noticed that everything is leaking out. The state of play that occurred about a day or two before it happened, I think it was about 24 or 36 hours before the state of play happened, the entire list leaked out. And then a bunch of stuff is leaking out for Summer Game Fest already. So Tom Henderson revealed, not yesterday, but the day before, that the reason this is happening is because there are YouTube employees that are actually purposely selling this stuff. Like they're actually selling the leaks from YouTube's back end, and that's what's going on. Like, YouTube is now going to, apparently it became such a serious thing that Sony and other publishers actually contacted YouTube and they're like, something's going on. Like, we're uploading stuff and it's just leaking after it upload. Like, we're uploading it like in the back end of YouTube where the videos are private or unlisted. And that's crazy. And so I'm kind of glad that something's going to be done about it, because like that's not fun. Like like I said, I don't mind a couple of like vague leaks, but I don't want to see like lists of entire shows leaking where it's like, well, what's the point of even watching it now? And I tried telling people, like, I didn't go over the leaked list, but prior to the state of play, people kept asking me like, do you think that's real? Do you think that's real? I'm like, that's real. Like, that's 100% real. Like, you could just tell. You could just tell it's real, at least in my opinion. And I was wondering, like, how the hell did this happen? And so now we know that somebody at YouTube, whether it's one person or a couple of people, they're being scumbags and they're selling this stuff to, I guess, the highest bidder or certain people. It's pretty garbage, man. It's pretty garbage. Hanzo, you're saying Jeff said it's an 8 out of 10 show? What? He said that? He said Summer Game Fest is going to be an 8 out of 10? Bro rated his own show before it even happens? Oh my God. His hype is 8 out of 10. That means it'll be a 5 out of 10. Yeah, I'm thinking it's going to be lower than that. I don't know. Yeah, I'll be real with you guys. Like, I'm not trying to be a buzzkill. It's just I'm not going into Summer Game Fest with much excitement at all. Like, I'm going in with the bare expectation of like, if there are just 2 to 3 things that make me feel like, oh, that looks exciting and that looks very cool, I'll be happy. And I feel like that's a terrible expectation because it's like a 2-hour show. I would expect more from a 2-hour show, but based off of what Jeff Keighley's saying, I'm Yeah, the big awards are usually the big awards are saved for the game awards. Next headline: Jeff says, "Don't watch the show. It's not worth your time." Reverse psychology, bro. Jeff said he didn't want me to watch. Well, I'm going to watch it anyway. You think he's just being careful not to overhype everything? Yeah. Yeah. Well, here's what's weird. I think in previous years when Jeff overhyped his shows, I think he was being genuine. Like, I think his excitement levels were that high. Like, he really thought, like, this is going to be great. And then he found out that, okay, maybe I overhyped it because people don't agree. So it makes me wonder, like, if that's what hype Jeff looks like, this is anti-hype Jeff. You think he's being way too modest, essentially throwing the games under the bus? Oh yeah, I didn't view it that way, but that's an interesting viewpoint I didn't consider. I will say I think it's particularly interesting that he's actually naming games that won't be there. I could be wrong, but I feel like I don't recall Jeff ever doing something like that. And that's quite surprising to me. People still think he will have Kingdom Hearts 4. See, that's what concerns me, dude. Is like he straight up says, like, we don't. You're going to be disappointed. And people are like, I don't believe you. It's like, all right, you know, come on. He has done. Wait, you're saying he has done that before? Has he? Uh-oh. I believed Jeff once when he said that Half-Life 3 wouldn't be in the show. I did, yes. MBG, did you read the latest message from Herman Hulst about communicating more regularly? I did read it. Yeah. We read that yesterday on stream, and I hope it's true, man. I do. Like, I hope we get better communication from PlayStation going forward. I hope Sony realizes that their communication has not been ideal this generation so far, and it could definitely be improved. And I think it would go a very long way with the fan base. I'm not saying that they have to like overhype things, no, but just, you know, again, a little bit of fanfare, I think will go a long way. I appreciate that, Novinzer. Yeah, I'll still be streaming Summer Game Fest. I hope it's not like an ad fest. You know what I mean? A lot of times I struggle with Jeff Keighley shows because there's just way too many ads and there's just too much cringe, man. Like not even the funny cringe either. You know what I mean? Like the cringe is just so purely cringe. It's not funny cringe. It's not entertaining cringe. It's just pure cringe. And it's like I want to turn this off. You know, like you're making me want to actively not watch this. Yeah, I've seen people saying that. I've seen a lot of people saying that they miss E3. Things haven't been the same. It does feel like, you know, I will tell you though, like even if E3 existed right now, I don't know that things would look much different. I think what we would be looking at is just some incredibly disappointing, depressing E3s. I do. Like I think people need to kind of realize that E3 was able to thrive when it did because of the way the industry operated. And the like you have to think about why E3 is gone. You know, E3 is gone because the industry as a whole has changed. You know, it has changed, and a big part of that change is not, you know, I mean, I know people are getting tired of hearing it and I'm tired of talking about it, but it's just true that games are now taking longer than ever to make, but also just the fact that at some point, you know, these publishers just kind of real like a major factor for E3 wasn't the consumer side. Like a major factor was actually the retail side. I think a lot of people forget that one of the major reasons E3 existed in the first place was it was a way for video game publishers and platform and console manufacturers to communicate directly with with retailers and stuff like that, and distributors, and that's just as things are pretty much all digital now. Even the events themselves are now becoming all digital. It's if E3 were to still be a thing today, it would be a forced thing, and I think that it would just be garbage. Honestly, like I don't know that it would be good. I don't know that it would be good. We have Alpha Spooker here. It looks like they dropped a $5 donation. It's weird because it looks like there should be a super chat message, but there's no text on my end. So I'm assuming it was just a $5 donation, Alpha Spooker. If it wasn't, you're going to have to let me know if you actually typed the message and it didn't come through. Let me know if that's the case. But either way, I do appreciate that $5, buddy. Appreciate the direct support to the channel. Thank goodness we have Xbox doing a 4K 60 FPS stream for their 30 FPS games. Damn. At least Xbox is having a showcase. Yeah, I will say, like, one of the major benefits of Microsoft acquiring two major publishers for them is exactly this, that they will have so much content every year where it's like they can easily put on like a full-blown showcase every year. I'm not saying that means they will always be good, but they will have content, you know? But yeah, I'm interested in Xbox's show. I'm interested in the fact that State of Decay 3 is apparently going to be there, but I'm also interested in the fact that there's seemingly going to be some games that are going to, be PS5 games. Curious to see what those might be. I mean, we know apparently Doom's going to be one of them. Something else that's I'm kind of interested in, just because I don't think we've heard from Phil Spencer in a while. He's been awfully quiet, and I think one of the biggest reasons he's been so quiet is because the last thing that Microsoft announced was like layoffs and the closure of some studios. Apparently, he's going to be doing like a fireside chat with IGN's Ryan McCaffrey after the show, and I'm very curious to hear what he is going to have to say, just because he definitely doesn't have to do that. He doesn't have to say anything, and you would argue that the smartest thing to do would be to not say anything. If you have a good show, just let it speak for itself. It makes me think that it makes me think that Microsoft is going to. There's like an important message that they're going to try to communicate over the course of this showcase, and that's why Phil is going to have this talk afterwards to kind of make sure that if people don't fully understand the message, well, I mean, it's marketing 101. If you have to explain, you've already failed, but I think you guys get what I'm saying. Yeah, apparently they're going to tease an Xbox handheld. Ryan McCaffrey's going to bitch out and not ask him about the lies. I'm very curious to see what questions Ryan McCaffrey asks. I mean, look, I get it. I get why it's like, a lot of people are not going to ask those like hard-hitting questions. But I think it's just like, I think it's because we know the answer. You know what I mean? Like, we know the answer. Like I know, like Phil Spencer's not going to come out and be like, yeah, you know, I make too much money doing this to, you know, go against what's going on. I'm a leader, you know, I'm in a leadership position. This is my job and it's business. And part of business is, hey, you got to be ruthless. And that's the truth. Like Phil's not going to come out and say that, but we all know that. And that's why, like, the only thing I'm actually interested in hearing from Phil, if he's going to do this, he is doing this hour or this, I don't know how long it's going to be with this fireside chat. I'm more interested in knowing if he's going to reveal more about, like, and here's what we're doing with the next console. Here's what we're doing with the handheld. Here's our plan. Here's what we're doing with bringing games to PlayStation 5. That's what I'm interested in hearing. I don't care about the whole. I don't need to hear Phil explain to me why they shut down studios. Like, I know why you shut down studios. I know why you're doing business. You know, just business is business. I get it. I want to hear the more juicy bits about what's going on. Whoa, J. Remy. Whoa, man. That one caught me off guard. I'm not gonna lie, bro. That one caught me off guard. Got to keep it together. I'm gonna keep it together. Alpha Spooker with another $5 super chat. Thank you for that, buddy. You're saying was gonna say that games taking longer seems like mismanagement. Bigger budgets, more employees than ever before. Doesn't make sense. Have another 5. Thank you for that. Yeah, I don't know why maybe that didn't come through right the first time, but I do appreciate that. It's basically a $10 super chat. Alpha Spooker, I appreciate that, bud. Yeah, I do think there is a level of mismanagement here, and I think that mismanagement comes. I think it's almost like it's a fear-driven thing. You know, kind of. It's like half fear-driven, half kind of like, well, this is what we're supposed to do. And what I mean by this is, I think there is an inherent fear, if we're just talking about PlayStation, of like, we can't really go backwards, you know, with the type of games we're making, because, I mean, Sony, they pretty much admitted it themselves that they view their big single player titles as like, these are the tentpole titles. These are the driving games that drive people to our platform, that drive people to our console. And we need them to be the absolute biggest and best that they could be, and industry leading, essentially. Like, that's, I guess, the best way to describe it. And I think they have this fear, and I think it makes complete sense why they would have this fear, that if they were to reduce that and walk back on that a little, even if it's a little bit, even if it makes sense to do so, I think they're afraid that it could have potentially disastrous results for, you know, having that kind of it factor, that driving factor that, you know, people can kind of flock to, and like having that kind of shining beacon. You know, when you have a game like God of War Ragnarok drop, it's like, why is everybody so excited about PlayStation? Why is everybody talking about PlayStation? It's because, well, look at what they're doing over there, you know? Stuff like that, or like, even like Spider-Man 2. But I think another aspect of this is, I think about what the developers are going to try to do as well, where I think Sony has to try to keep in mind, from the creative standpoint, that like these developers and these teams, you know, they're going to be ambitious. And I don't think Sony wants to interfere with that ambition, but they have to a certain extent. Like, they have to set budgets and they have to set time frames, because it's like, look, we are running a business here. We can't just let you do literally whatever you want at all times. We do need to manage you. And so it's hard to say if it's truly mismanagement or not, because it's like, I think if there's mismanagement occurring, it's the mismanagement is more of like a byproduct, or like a symptom, I guess you could say, of like a changing industry that Sony is not necessarily immediately adapting to, because they don't necessarily know if they should adapt to it. they don't necessarily know if they should change course. And that's what I'm thinking. Here, I'll be right back. Hold on. That's what I'm thinking, though. But I will say this, Alpha Spooker. There also is there's like a separate layer of mismanagement that I do think is directly Sony's fault. And I think that mismanagement, we kind of saw it go down where I think they did try. I think something that Jim Ryan may have tried to do is convert, seemingly, some of Sony's tentpole studios, like Insomniac, like Naughty Dog. I think they maybe did try to convert them into live service studios. And maybe Jim Ryan just didn't understand. Maybe Jim Ryan didn't quite understand that if you want Naughty Dog to run a live service game, their entire studio is going to be converted to doing that. Like, they can't run a live service game and also make big tentpole single player titles. Like, you can't have both of them. And because I think it's clear that there was some level of mismanagement in that regard. Yeah. But we'll see. We'll see. There's still with PlayStation, there's still just so much we don't know at all. We really don't. They're still playing it close to the chest. They're still, keeping the curtain closed, and they're being extremely careful and intentional about what they show us. Because I just want to put it out here one more time that the only thing PlayStation showed us at that State of Play, when it comes to their games and their studios and even their partner studios, are games that are coming this year. Now, I know games like Where the Wind Meets and Battle of Antera, those games I think we're targeting 2025, but I don't know if they're exclusive or not. I don't know if those are partnership games. They didn't really clarify. Friggin' poison ivy rash is driving me nuts. You wish we got Spider-Man the Great Web. Yeah, I think something went really wrong with that game. Maybe Insomniac just spread too thin. Wow, this video is absolutely insane. I clicked on Twitter. And that's wild. I just clicked on Twitter for a second, bro, just to see. Hold on. Hold on. I don't know what these cats want, man. They want in, they want out. I was just saying, I clicked on Twitter for just a moment just to go see if any came out, and there's this video. I'm not going to show it, but there's just this video that says, man grabs a hold of an officer's gun while being transported from jail to court, and it's just insane, dude. People are nuts, man. The craziest thing is this dude that was being transported that grabbed the gun was being transported in a wheelchair. And there's clearly something wrong with his leg where he can't walk. And so he was wrestling with this dude, and he somehow won. I don't know. He won. He got the dude's gun, and I think he was trying to fire it, but maybe like the safety was on, and he didn't realize he had to, turn the safety off. And then another, and the craziest thing about this video is that he's trying to get up to walk. Like this dude, he clearly can't walk, and he's trying to get up to walk, and he just keeps falling on the ground. And then another cop comes out and just shoots him, and it's like, okay, I mean, I just don't know. He clearly didn't think that one through. You know what I mean? Like, he clearly just didn't think that one through. But the dude who got the gun taken from him it was painful to watch, dude, because I don't know how he let that happen. Like, dude, he just looked like he gave up at some point. Like he looked like he just gave up the fight and just let the guy take the gun. It was so weird. This is why I go on Twitter still, because I see some very fascinating videos pop up like that. I don't know that I'd say it's very fascinating, but just something that's like, whoa. So, all right, here's the thing. There's not going to be a members lounge today. I'm sorry to disappoint. There will be no members lounge today, but there will be a members lounge for the next stream, I promise, okay? The good news is we did a members lounge yesterday. What's a mag dump? A mag dump is when you fire all of the rounds in your magazine. So if you have like if you have a pistol with 18 rounds, you fire all 18 rounds. You well, I was gonna say you hold the trigger down, but that would be for an automatic. It's when you drop a magnet. Obviously, that's what that means. That's what that means, bro. Oh, man. I mag dumped. What? Yeah, I dropped all my magnets, bro. GC84, member for 12 months, says, still can't believe Sony greenlit Concord when they got Killzone Resistance, SOCOM, and MAG. Also can't believe they canceled The Last of Us multiplayer for this. Yeah, I know. I feel like I kind of understand. Like, I think there are logical reasons for this. I know it's a tough pill to swallow, but like, I think the reason why Sony decided not to do anything with Killzone, it's because that's Guerrilla's game. And maybe, like, listen, for all we know, maybe Guerrilla doesn't want that. Maybe Guerrilla would not be comfortable with another studio making a Killzone game. Maybe Sony's just like, okay, we're not going to do that. Same thing with Resistance. Maybe with SOCOM, maybe it's just we can't find the right team to make a SOCOM. And when you talk about The Last of Us multiplayer getting canceled for this, I think both were going to exist. Both were supposed to exist. This Last of Us multiplayer game was supposed to be out, I think, at the end of this year. But I think that's a kind of isolated situation. Like, I think what happened with The Last of Us multiplayer is very different. Like, I don't think Sony could buy a team like Firewalk, right? And say, guys, we bought you, and so we're going to give you this Last of Us multiplayer game, and you're going to run it, and you're going to create content for it. I think if that's what Sony wanted to do, this team would have never agreed to be purchased. I think the reason why Sony bought Concord or bought Firewalk and brought Concord on board was, I think it's just simply because it was a team that was going to make this game no matter what. And when you think about a portfolio-driven type of management, I guess you could say, right? Like, Herman Hulst probably looks at this as, well, okay, this is a hero shooter. It's an FPS. It's kind of ticking it's ticking off a couple of boxes that we don't have any presence in at all. We don't have a hero shooter. We currently don't have an FPS. And they probably thought maybe we could be killing two birds with one stone here and really fill in a big gap in our portfolio. But I think that the only thing that they really missed here, because I can see the logic there. It's like, okay, yeah, you don't have games like this. But the problem for me is that they seem to not, maybe they are aware, but it seems like they're not fully aware that, like, this isn't the kind of FPS that I think anybody wanted from Sony. Like, I don't think when people said, like, man, I would love to get a new FPS from Sony, I just don't think people had in mind a hero shooter. And I also don't think that people had in mind, like, when they thought about what would this hero shooter be like, I don't think that they thought in their mind it's going to be a kind of Guardians of the Galaxy ripoff in terms of tone and dialogue and maybe even art style to an extent, but it's going to have a little bit of Destiny in there and a little bit of Overwatch. It just doesn't, again, it doesn't feel unique. And that's what, to me, is kind of killing me about this, because the thing about something like Killzone was pretty unique, man. It was. Like, there really hasn't been anything like it since. I mean, there have been a lot of first-person shooters, but the universe of Killzone, I would even say the art style, like with the Hellgast, the weaponry, it had this kind of unique flair to it that, while it didn't necessarily have the broadest appeal, it still felt like there's not really anything like this out there. And even Resistance, right? Resistance wasn't the most unique. Like, it wasn't the most original game premise-wise, but it still had a certain layer of uniqueness to it where how many games out there are like Resistance? I can't really think of any. SOCOM, I would say, is the furthest from being unique or original. However, it did something right, and what SOCOM did right is it had a very it nailed tactical third person shooter gameplay. Keyword being tactical, right? And Sony, it is weird to me that, like, Sony doesn't have that. Sony doesn't have a tactical team-based shooter to appeal to that genre. And SOCOM would have filled that in perfectly. And that's what's just weird to me, is it's just, yes, of course, a game like Concord doesn't look, and yet, really quick though, talking about MAG, Feral Flame, you're saying MAG remaster with new content should be a goal. Yeah, MAG was super unique in what it tried to do. MAG was trying to do something that no other game has tried to do since, which is these massive, what does it stand for? Like, massive action game or something, but it's basically like, how many players could it go up to? It was like 275 player battles or something in like a war zone, and there were like captains and generals and stuff like that. I never played it, but I remember people talking to me about it. 256. Yeah. Like, that's what's disturbing to me, is that, like, that stuff is actually unique. Like, that was Sony trying to be unique. 128 versus 128. Like, that was Sony actually trying to be innovative, to do different things, to think outside the box, and partnering with developers and bringing on developers. And that's what bothers me so much about Concord, is it's just that that's not it at all. Like, Concord is the literal opposite of unique and original and innovative. It just seems like something we've seen many, many times. And I will say that from Herman Hulst's point of view, when it comes to just prioritizing, like, we need to fill in gaps and we need to do it quickly and efficiently, I get it. That makes sense. I understand why when you see Concord, you think, this will do nicely. But thinking more about, again, from the side of the actual, like, gamer and the people who, specifically from the side of the PlayStation fan base, it's like, dude, surely you realize that even a game like MAG runs laps around this game in terms of originality and trying to innovate, right? And that's what bothers me, is just, it does worry me a little bit without being overly dramatic about it or too doom and gloom, but it does worry me that, and this is not exclusive to Sony, by the way. To be clear, this is not exclusive to Sony. This is an industry-wide thing where it just seems like there truly is a severe lack of innovation, of games trying to truly think outside the box and do things and just take chances. Like honestly, that's what's weird to me is people have talked to me about Concord. It's like, oh, it's Sony taking a chance. No, it's not. Like, I mean, yes, like business-wise, money-wise, of course, they bought the studio and the game has the chance to flop. And it's a new studio and it's a new game, a new IP. I understand, like, from that perspective, yes, they're taking a chance, but look at the game. Like, to me, it's the only thing. When I think about why did Sony buy Firewalk, it should be obvious. It should be more obvious to me. They bought Firewalk because it looks like a surefire winner, right? It checks off all the boxes. Colorful, unique characters, colorful game, solid first-person shooting, which, to be honest, if there's anything that's going to save Concord, it will be that gameplay. But, man, that gameplay is going to have to be next level. That's the only way this game stands a chance, is if that gameplay is next level and everybody's like, you know what? Putting everything else aside, this is the best playing hero shooter ever created. That can save the game. And we'll see. That's the big question we have to wait to be answered. But it checks the box of, oh yeah, it's a hero shooter, 5v5. You got like funny banter, or at least what it's trying to be funny, Marvel-like banter. It just feels like it. You know what it almost feels like? It feels like a group of people got together and said, we're going to go out of our way to make something truly unique, something clever, something funny, something different. And it's like they focused so hard on that they like didn't realize during the process of it, like, you're just making something that many other people have already made. You get what I'm saying? Where it's almost like you get so laser focused in on what you're creating that you fail to realize that you just created something that literally exists right over there. If you had just taken a moment to look, you would have seen you made that thing. That's all. That's all. There we go. I'm saying it again. That's all. I'm not trying to come off as just a sheer Concord hater, because I agree. Like, it gets to be too much. And it's just not, like, I'm not here to just hate on things. It's just, I don't want to see Sony's multiplayer offerings end up being just a giant pile of generic, a giant pile of, we needed to fill in these gaps, so here you go. We don't have a Ubisoft game, so here's your Ubisoft game. We don't have our Overwatch, so here's your Overwatch. I understand why they would feel like they need to do that, but I think Sony has proven in the past that they operate best when they're not trying to do the things that other publishers are doing. That's what gets me about it. I think Sony has proven that they operate best when they decide, you know what, like, this might not be the most intuitive thing to do because it's not the popular thing, but maybe we can make it the next thing. And, here's another aspect, right? We have to think, okay, well, why would Sony decide not to do that? Maybe it's because they did that already. And that's the unfortunate reality. And this is something I didn't talk about, but I think is absolutely important to bring up here, is as much as I want to see Sony go in this direction, if I were to like talk to Herman Holst and say this to him, and he would turn to me and be like, listen, we tried that already and it didn't work. What would I say? Like, what argument would I have? Where he says, we did try to make Killzone a big thing. We did try to make SOCOM a big thing. We did try to make MAG. We did try to make these. We did put out Warhawk. And it's like none of this stuff worked the way we thought it would. I guess the only thing I could, because I could understand, because it's like, yeah, you're right. You're right. So maybe that's why they decided we're doing something, we're trying a different approach now. And that approach is going to be less original, but maybe more fruitful, right? And I get that. But I guess the only thing I could say is that maybe it's worth trying again, because these games that Sony pursued back then, these multiplayer offerings, you could argue maybe it was just too soon, man. You know, maybe like something like Mag. I could see why that failed during the PS3 era, because it's like the technology maybe just isn't there yet for a game like that to be able to properly function like the way it's supposed to, and it just kind of falls apart. But what about a game like Mag in 2025 and 2026? Maybe now's the time. You know what I mean? Rudy, you're saying stop trying to convince people that Concord is bad for Sony. That's not fair to the devs. I'm not saying it's bad for Sony, because if I were to say that, if I were to truly say no, it is bad for Sony, that means I can see the future. I can't see the future. I think it seems like it's going to be bad for Sony. But I already talked to you about this, Rudy. If I'm wrong, I will be the first to come in and say, holy shit, I was completely wrong about Concord, dude. And I will take my L, and I will say I will never judge another multiplayer game again, because I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. Honestly, I'm not even kidding. Like, if that's what happens, I will be totally humbled and be like, I'm out of touch and I have no idea anymore when it comes to multiplayer. But I do think there is still something to be said here about when it comes to the wider offering. Like, we did see more of Fair Games prior to the latest Concord trailer. We knew more about Fair Games than we did Concord, and we did get a CG trailer, but it kind of showed it did that thing. It was like a CG trailer that's showing gameplay, or like what the gameplay is supposed to be, and it just I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know what it's going to take. I don't know what it's going to take. It's easy for me to sit here as the armchair analyst and be like, I know what's best, but I really don't. I just know what I want, what I would like to see. And what I also know is that there are certainly people who I think feel the same way as me. But unfortunately, I just don't know at this point in time that there's enough of us. You know, we're going to find out, man. We're going to find out, because like would I have preferred to see Concord canceled and The Last of Us multiplayer come out and then Naughty Dog becomes a live service studio? No, I wouldn't want to see that either. Here's something I'll say, though. I talked to you guys about this a couple times, and I'll mention it here because I think it's relevant to the conversation. Sony does have a secret PlayStation studio that was created behind the scenes that's being led by former Call of Duty developers, specifically being led by Jason Blundell. He was the director of Call of Duty Zombies. And a lot of people consider him like he was like the father of Call of Duty Zombies, and he's the one that he basically peaked it, right? Like, he brought Zombies to its peak, and then he left, and then after he left, a lot of people felt like, okay, Call of Duty Zombies went downhill from there. Sony has a new studio that is comprised of former Call of Duty developers, including Jason Blundell as the director, and also former Deviation devs. And this is where I'm wondering if, like, what we're basically seeing right now with Concord, Fair Games, and Helldivers, and I don't think I'm forgetting a game. Oh, and Marathon. Yeah, so Helldivers, Concord, Fair Games, Marathon. I wonder if this is basically phase one of Sony's multiplayer live service push, where that's, it's like 4 games. Not all of them are going to make it. And we'll see which ones make it. We'll see which ones don't. And then we'll move forward from there. But they have basically a second phase that they're working on with games like Horizon multiplayer, this secret, I don't know if I want to call it a Call of Duty studio, but a secret studio that they created comprised of Call of Duty developers. And I mean, there's always going to be MLB The Show. I'm trying to think what other studio Sony has. Maybe Sony Bend. Like, they didn't list Sony Bend as a live service studio, but Sony Bend is working on something with multiplayer. So maybe they just don't want to reveal that yet. Oh, no. Sony Bend, they are working on a live service game. That was confirmed in their job listing, by the way. Yeah, so I think Sony's afraid to admit that. But Sony Bend, they said in their own job description, they're looking for somebody with experience in live service games. So there's Sony Bend, Guerrilla Games, a secret first-party PlayStation studio. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it's going to be a huge L yet or not. I got to see what the game is. The fact that we're seeing Sony Bend go from Days Gone, a single-player narrative game, to a game where they're looking for live service expertise, it's like, oh man, that makes me nervous. That makes me nervous, dude. So I guess I'm just saying that there might be different phases for Sony's multiplayer plans and endeavors. And right now we're just seeing phase 1, and phase 2 will come a little bit later, maybe. We have Matador 509 with a super chat. Thank you, buddy, saying, if Sony did a Killzone Warzone style like Call of Duty Warzone, I think it could work very well. Add vehicles, bikes, etc. That would be very cool. But you know what the problem, you know why I think Killzone won't come back? I said earlier maybe Guerrilla doesn't want anybody working on it, but you know what I think the real reason is? If I'm being like more logical about it, I think Sony never viewed Killzone as a major franchise. Like, I think every time Sony greenlit another Killzone, like, yeah, make Killzone 2, make Killzone 3, and make Shadowfall, I think every time they did that, they were doing so like, okay, this next one's the one where we're going to really break into the mainstream and Killzone's going to be like a household name. And it just never did. It just never got to that level for whatever reason. And so I think that's why, because even though your idea sounds cool, I think the way Sony views it is, no, like people who are playing Call of Duty Warzone are not going to say, you know what, I'm going to go play Killzone Battle Royale or whatever instead. I don't think so. You know what I would love to see Sony make, though? And maybe a lot of people would disagree with this, but listen, if Sony's going to come out here and be like, here's your hero shooter, then fine. I want to come out and be like, listen, if you're looking to just fill in genres, I would like to see Sony make a better PUBG. I don't know what they would call it, but something that has really, really, really good mechanics, maybe Battle Royale, and is essentially just a better version of PUBG. SOCOM Battle Royale. Oh my God. That sounds so funny. SOCOM Battle Royale, dude. SOCOM players would lose their minds. SOCOM players would be jumping out windows, bro. Actually, I want to see it just for the meltdowns. That would be incredible. Imagine the SOCOM fan base getting bodied that hard by Sony. SOCOM Battle Royale, baby. I'd play it. Fuck it. I'd absolutely play it. It's not really what SOCOM's supposed to be, but you know what's interesting that you say that, though? You know what's interesting that you say SOCOM Battle Royale? For the longest time, multiple people have said to me that PUBG to them felt like the closest thing to SOCOM. Like a modern day SOCOM. Like, it's not like, 6v6 or anything like that, or like 24 players. It's like 100 players in a large space. But people have said that like PUBG, mechanically speaking, and how tactical it is, feels like the closest thing to a like a modern SOCOM. And I always found that interesting. Maybe you're onto something, dude. Maybe Sony missed the boat on that one. Damn, maybe Sony, get on that shit. Actually, I'm turning around on this entirely. MBG, people need to forget about those IPs. No one looks at the sales figures back then. It was brutal, especially compared to other shooters / multiplayer games of the time. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. And that's the thing. I'm not against. Look, I'm all for Sony creating new IP. It's just what's painful for me to see is, again, like, oh, Concord's a new IP. It's like, dude, it's a new IP that looks like a mixture of like 10 other IPs that we've been seeing for the past 10 years. It's hard to feel, and I've seen people make this argument as well. People have said, well, how come, what about the Souls-like genre, right? How come there can never be too many Souls games? I'm here to tell you, there absolutely can and is. There are too many Souls games. It actually is very annoying. It's why, dude, if Naughty Dog, I said earlier, it wasn't really a joke, but I was like, imagine Naughty Dog comes out and they're making a Souls-like game, like a cinematic Souls game. Dude, they're going to get stomped, at least initially, like in the sense that people are like, there ain't no way we're getting another Souls game. Like, Souls games are taking over. But at the same time, it's all about the appetite. I do think there are too many Souls games, but more Souls games succeed, and they continue to be pumped out because there is this just seemingly insatiable appetite where, for example, I played Lies of P, and it's very much a Souls game, but it did enough to stand out while simultaneously taking things that are completely original, that have never been done in a Souls game, and it made it very good. However, I have played Souls-likes that are just like, I get it, you just wanted to make your own Souls-like, and like, again, what's that other one? It's Lords of the Fallen. Like, to me, that's a prime example of like us, at least for me. Like, if you like that game, I'm not fighting with you. It's fine. You teach their own. But for me, that was a Souls-like that was like, this is just, nah. Like, it's trying to do a few things to stand out, and I get that. And that's nice. But I just, that's an example. It's where it's just, it feels like it's trying really hard to be like Elden Ring. Like, too much so. Like, or Dark Souls 3. And I'm like, I get the whole, there's two different worlds and thing with the lantern, and I'm like, that's kind of cool, but I don't know, man. This just feels a lot like it's trying to just be Elden Souls 3. And, the thing is, there's still people that enjoyed it. There's still people that enjoyed it, and I personally think there can be too many Souls games, and that's why it's like, I just don't know that there's as much appetite for a hero shooter that's doing what Concord is doing as there is, like, these new Souls games that are coming out. But then again, I don't know. I think about the state of play, and multiple games that were shown at the state of play look like Souls inspired. Just like maybe based in, like a Chinese Souls-like, and Ballad of Anatra or Antera. I keep getting that wrong. Antera. Like there is a level of like, you're not really doing anything original or unique here. Truth, like, from what I can tell, like, it does seem like, oh, it's another Souls-like. Doesn't mean I won't potentially be excited for it, but I guess I'm just trying to say that, like, it's a problem that seems to be persisting in this industry, where I've heard people make the argument many times for the past like few years that there's too many games. There's too many development teams. There's too many studios. There's too many games being made. And because of that, there's just way too many of the same games being made. And I'm starting to think that's true. Like, I'm starting to just get this feeling that, yeah, maybe that's why there isn't much innovation. Because it turns out that it's not just, more people making games automatically means more innovation. Or maybe it's more people making games means more people chasing the same pie, looking to get the same piece of the same pie, so to speak. And I'm starting to think that that's a thing, man. It's something I'm really starting to notice. I was just turning the chair so you guys could still see boss. We need a AAA dump. Too many games and layoffs don't coincide. Yeah, I mean, that's... No, I never did play SOCOM 4. I think that was the one that was impacted by the infamous PlayStation 3 hack, if I'm not mistaken. Kane Z7 says SOCOM sold over 12 million copies in total between 1, 2, and 3. I wouldn't say it flopped. Source VG charts. Interesting. I don't know how accurate VG charts is, but I'm just kind of wondering, and this is where I would like to get more insight, and I don't think we're going to, but I'm just wondering, what makes Herman Holst decide to go in the direct, Concord's is standing out to me. This is going to be a game we should try to lock down, versus we shouldn't do anything with SOCOM. You know what I'm saying? I just want to know, is it data driven? Is it numbers driven? Is it simply just, if we make a SOCOM game, it's not going to appeal to a different audience. It's going to appeal to the more core fan base that we already have, and we're trying to appeal to newer people and bring newer people. Is that what it is? I want to know what exactly is driving these decisions. Attracting new talent, maybe, yeah, maybe. You're saying I'm obsessed with Concord, but the truth is, man, wait till Fair Games is revealed. You think I'm not going to be talking about Fair Games? I'm just talking about Concord now because Concord is the big question mark for PlayStation right now, dude. Astrobot is not a question mark. Astrobot is an exclamation point. And that's great. Astrobot is the exclamation point of hell yeah. This looks great. But Concord is the question mark, and Fair Games is also the question mark. And to be honest, the thing I really want to know is if Fair Games is going to look appealing to me or not, because I just don't think there's any... I don't want to say there's no possibility I could end up... listen, maybe I could end up liking the gameplay of Concord. I just don't think that's going to happen, though. Everything is telling me that's just not going to be my game. And I'm just wondering if maybe when we see Fair Games gameplay, if that would actually... Because that's the one thing, is surely Fair Games has to be very different than Concord. And the whole premise of Fair Games, I remember a lot of people saying it kind of sounds a little bit like Payday. And we don't really have many games like that, like heist games. And I'm like, that's true. That's true. So maybe something like that could be more appealing to me. But we'll have to see. We'll have to see. Yeah. What a plot twist. What a plot twist. If Fair Games actually ends up looking like the better game to me and I actually end up playing that. Fair Games and Concord. What looks better to you? I got to see. Well, we know what Concord gameplay looks like. We know what the game is going for. I need to see more Fair Games before I can determine that. Because honestly, um, when I saw the Fair Games trailer, I didn't like that. I'll be honest with you. Like there's just it just felt like Sony, you just bought a Ubisoft studio. You know what I mean? Like it really just kind of felt like you just literally bought a Ubisoft game. And I'm not saying that has to be a bad thing, but it's just like a lot of Ubisoft stuff doesn't appeal to me just because I don't know, man. Like it feels like a lot of stuff they do is just like paint by numbers type stuff. And that's fine. You know, I'm not saying that's necessarily bad, but that's just weird to me. You know, it was just a weird thing because it felt like Sony being like, we need a Ubisoft game and we need a Ubisoft studio. And it's like, why? You know, like why? We'll see. MBG would rather talk about Concord again rather than Sony losing exclusives to a different platform. Wait, hold on. Chris Brown, I need that. What are you talking about? Hold on. See, now you're trying to turn this into a fight. I've talked extensively about Sony going more multi-platform. I did talk about Kana as well. Yeah, here we go. Buckle up. Chris is like, oh shit. No, dude, I don't. It's, you know, I've talked about it so much, but the truth is, man, like, I don't know what's left to say. Like, Sony, they laid it out, man. They're like, listen, live service games, day and date on PC. Single player games, strategic. First on console, then on PC. And it's like, is that going to change anytime soon? No, we're doing that till at least 2027. Oh, okay. So it's like, I don't know what to say, you know, at this point. Like, maybe they could expedite it or they could change it at any moment. Sure. I mean, I've already accepted that for Sony, PC is part of their long-term plan, man. For better or for worse, that's the way it is. That's the way it's going to be. We have a Dax verse here. Remember for 1 month saying, will we ever see games like Detroit Become Human, What Remains of Edith Finch, Uncharted 4? Love those games. I think we're going to get another Uncharted. As for who's making it, I don't know, but I think we are going to get another Uncharted. But for games like Detroit Become Human, What Remains of Edith Finch, I mean, I think Fire Sprite, not Firewalk, Fire Sprite, they're working on a single-player horror game. I wouldn't be surprised if they're making like a Until Dawn 2. It's not necessarily exactly the same, but, you know, a more movie-like game, like literally, like where it's like kind of a playable movie, or an interactive movie. I think we will get that. That's purely speculation on my part, but I don't know for sure. But I do think we are getting another Uncharted. What do I think about Star Wars Outlaws? Oh man, I'll be real with you, man. Like I don't care about Star Wars anymore. I don't. Listen, Star Wars Outlaws is coming out in August. You know what else is coming out in August? Black Myth Wukong. Can you guess which one I'm gonna buy? I see you, Mr. B. I see you. By the way, guys, do me a favor, hit that like button. Please hit that like button. We're sitting at 191 likes. I need to see that. We need to boost that. We need to boost that. Can we get it to 250? Is that impossible? I think that's impossible at this point. You wonder if Black Myth Wukong is going to live up to the hype? I think it can. It looks really epic. Yeah, it looks really good. I don't know why. And I say this to somebody who does not. I'm not invested into Star Wars, dude. I've never been deeply invested into Star Wars at all. There have been many times in my life where I've enjoyed Star Wars, but everything I see of Star Wars today, like everything I see from Star Wars, just seems ultra cringe to me. Like genuinely, like maybe I'm missing some stuff, but like sometimes I just see these random trailers that come out, and I'm seeing like these games that are coming, and I don't know, like Jedi Survivor. I heard that was really good, and I I don't want to throw that under the bus because apparently that was really good, and I guess my problem is just like anything good that Star Wars is doing, it just makes me think I'm just not in the loop anymore with Star Wars. Like it's just a franchise, it's just a series that I've truly fallen away from entirely, where I have like no desire to go back. I don't know though. Like I always try to keep the door open a little bit, where if they create like a very different type of game, and that's the thing about Star Wars Outlaws that doesn't seem like it doesn't seem appealing to me at all, because it's the only thing about Star Wars Outlaws that makes me go, that's kind of interesting, is they're like open world. But then I'm like, but it's Ubisoft. So it's like I already know what that game is. You know what I mean? Like that's cool that it's the first open world Star Wars game, but like I already know what that is. I played that game before. Even though it wasn't called Star Wars. You know? Do you get what I'm saying? Unless, listen, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they do something totally different with the open world of this game that it's like, oh, okay, that's actually pretty different. But I don't know. You wish Sony would stop flooding classic catalog with Star Wars games. I think they're doing it because Disney's like the only one that's like, yeah, we'll do this with you. We'll give you the license. I don't know, man. I'm trying not to be too jaded, but I can't deny that like maybe I'm changing, or I don't know. Is it me? Is it the industry? Is it both? But I just feel like I'm losing a little bit of luster here, you know? You're saying I'm waking up. I don't know. It doesn't feel like waking up, man. I'll be honest with you. It feels more like I'm getting tired. It feels like the opposite, you know? It feels like I'm getting tired, and I don't know, maybe I just need to take a little break. If not take a little break, just chill out. Maybe not pace, like, I don't know. I was going to say not pay so much attention, but that's going to be impossible to do. I'm not sure what it's going to take, you know? But I feel like something is changing in me, at least for now, where, and it's interesting because I've encountered people on my channel where they would like leave me super chats sometimes and be like, I just don't want to play games anymore. Like they have no desire to play video games like at all. And I'm not there. Like I don't feel like I don't want to play video games, but I am feeling this kind of strong level of disconnect where I'm struggling to identify many things that I like actively want to play. Like it's almost like some things just seem too daunting to me. And if not too daunting, they seem like they're going to maybe be too underwhelming for me, and I'm going to just be like, you know what? Is it because I'm getting old? Maybe, I don't know. Maybe it is. Find a new hobby. Oh, I hope it's not that. Because that's the thing, is it's not that I don't, like, there are still games I'm very much excited for. But I don't know, man. I just feel like sometimes there's this part of me that feels like, no, like, I got to try harder. You know, as weird as that sounds, like I have to just I start to believe that I'm seeing things through an altered lens, and that altered lens, it's their fault. It's the internet. It's what people are saying. They're making me jaded. But it's like, actually, no, maybe it is me. Like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, I am excited for Astro. Like, genuinely, I'm excited for Astrobot. And I am excited for Silent Hill 2. You know, I am excited for Metal Gear Solid Delta, and I'm sure there's going to be other games. Like, I'm excited for Black Myth Wukong. So it's not like these games don't exist, but it's just like, I guess I'm just kind of at a point where for the longest time in my life, I've always felt like there has to be a game I'm playing at all times. Like, when I'm done with this one, I'm on to the next, and when I'm done with that one, I'm on to the next, and just this kind of like very cyclical, like, it's always going, it doesn't stop. And I'm starting to kind of feel like maybe that has changed, because it's almost starting to feel like, but I don't want to. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to go move on to the next thing, because I feel like, well, I got to have something to play. Like, almost like there just can't be a moment in my life where I'm not gaming, is what I'm trying to describe. And that's what's interesting to me, because when I think about it, like, yeah, I don't think there ever was a moment since I picked up video games, like 5 years old, 4 years old, or whatever. Well, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if I was, I'm sure there were like months or weeks at the very least where I didn't play video games growing up. But I mean, it just feels like, at least in my adulthood, there was never really a time where I wasn't always playing video games. And, you know, I told you guys earlier that I play almost every night religiously, like 2 to 3 rounds of Dead by Daylight with Mrs. MBG. But I'm like, I'm getting tired of it. Like, I'm like, this game makes me want to put my head through a wall. I want to burn it. Like, I want to burn this game. I want this game to die. You know what I mean? Like, and I realized, like, that's not good. Like, I've overplayed this game. But that's the thing, is when I realize, like, I don't want to play, I'm going to stop playing Dead by Daylight, you know, just a couple rounds every, I'm done with that. Right now, I just beat Stellar Blade. I'm like, what do I feel like playing now? And for like the first time in a long, long, long time, dude, it's just like, I don't want to play anything. You know what I mean? Like, I don't feel like the idea of not playing something, at least for a while, feels kind of good. And that's what's so weird to me, because it's like, this is strange. You know, like, I don't say I've never, but at least in my adulthood, I just don't know that I've ever felt that way. Like, there was always something that I was ready to roll over to. And now I'm just like, I feel like Forrest Gump, dude, when he's running and he's just like, I think I'll go home now. You know, like, I like, that's what it feels like. That's what it feels like right now. Finish Rebirth. Oh, yeah, that's true. That's true. That would be a good thing for me to do. The party's over. It's not like a negative thing, you know? At least I don't think it is. It doesn't feel bad. It doesn't feel like I hate video games. I'm fucking done with video games. Video games ruined my life. It's not like that. It's just, it's very much like, it's like they're not calling to me right now for some reason. Matador 509 with the $10 super chat. Thank you for that, buddy. You're saying what you're describing is your taste/preference changing as you get older. It happens naturally. I feel similar. I notice I am pickier about what I play. I've gone back to replay some things I've really enjoyed. Yeah, you know, I was thinking about that too. I'm like wondering if it's one of these situations where maybe I do need to like kind of go back to something. You know what's interesting is like talking about the Elden Ring DLC. The Elden Ring DLC is a great example of something that when it's put in front of me, like it is right now, like here are the previews, here's some of the gameplay. You know, there's all these videos out talking about it. You know what, really quick, that game Killer Clowns from Outer Space, I actually saw that and I'm like, oh, this is out. Is it good? It seemed like, I just don't know that it's like $40 or something. I'm like, is this going to be worth it? Is this game gonna, like, I feel like Killer Clowns from Outer Space makes me nervous. I feel like that game going to die in like a month or two? But the Elden Ring DLC is a perfect example of something that it feels like I should have this insatiable, intense desire to want to play it. and it feels strange to me. I'm like, why is it like it's almost like I'm seeing how excited people are getting for it, and it's making me feel a certain way where I'm like, why am I not feeling that way? You know, like I love From Software. Like literally Dark Souls 1 is like in my all-time top 3 games of all time, you know, for me. Like why would I not it's making me feel a certain way. But that's where I'm like trying to just accept that, like, hold on. Am I reaching some kind of weird point in my life where the idea of going back and playing Dark Souls 1 actually sounds more satisfying and compelling than playing the latest From Software Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree DLC? And that's what's racking my brain, is like, I think deep down, like, I know the answer to that question is like, yes, I think I would enjoy just playing Dark Souls 1 again, more so than I would diving into this DLC. Not to say that I'll never play the DLC, but it looks, you know, it was honestly like, I was all on board with the DLC, but once I started to see like how difficult it's going to be and how like ridiculously challenging it is, I'm like, okay, I feel like, yeah, I'm struggling to feel like I can keep up. Truthfully, I am feeling that way, and I don't know. It's such a fascinating thing to experience, because I think I've went through this many times actually, but maybe the biggest difference is that this is the first time I'm like hyper aware of it. You know, because I feel like all throughout life our tastes and our preferences change, but this is like the first time I'm like really noticing, like, oh wait, something's happening here. Maybe I need a random chill game. You know what game I want? You're never gonna guess in a million fucking years. Somebody might be able to guess, but I'm like 99.99% certain no one will guess what game that is about to come out of my mouth. I'll give you a hint. It is a game that came out during the PS4 and Xbox One era, and it's a game that nobody talks about anymore. It's a game that would technically be classified as a live service, but it's a game that also needs a specific set of equipment to play. Maybe that's the dead giveaway right there. I want to see if anybody can guess. Fred, you're saying MBG, for me, it's hard to get overly excited for some games because, in a way, it looks similar and does not stand out like they used to. Yeah. Oh, Ms. Biz got it. Ms. Biz was the first one. Rock Band. Dude, Rock Band 4. I miss that game so much, dude. I don't have the equipment for it anymore, but I love that game. I love that game. Listen, if I could make it happen, I would buy the equipment. I don't even know if you can you even buy the drums and the guitars anymore? Do they even make them anymore? Are they like ridiculously overpriced on eBay now? And if I could do it without getting my channel banned and blocked to the moon and back, dude, I would absolutely stream myself playing Rock Band drums, guitar. I love that game so much, man, because I love music. I love making music. I love playing along the music, and that was just the perfect game, dude. I should play drums and drums rock on VR. Is that going to be the same? Should I join a band? Is that what you're saying? I should join a band? Maybe that's what I need to do. Dude, did you hear how right before Activision was purchased, I think it was Bobby Kotick, he said that like they're working on a new Guitar Hero. I'm like, dude, please, if you can. Guitar Hero tried to do their run against. Do you guys remember Guitar Hero World Tour? Let me know if any of you guys know about Guitar Hero World Tour, where they basically tried to take on Rock Band. And dude, I remember playing this game with my friends. I remember playing Guitar Hero World Tour with Mrs. MBG. She loved singing. I was playing the drums. And of course there was always Rock Band, but I thought that like they actually did a pretty good job with Guitar Hero World Tour. I'm like, this isn't perfect, but this is a competent effort here. And they just like never continued it. And I remember they did Guitar Hero Metallica, and I'm like, please bring this stuff back, man. Like, please, I will give you my money. I will support this. I will be like all over it. And I would create a second channel just dedicated to streaming myself playing this shit and playing with people. I absolutely would. I love those games so much, but I just feel like I don't know how to get back into it. Like, is it even supported anymore? You know, again, where do I get the instruments? It is expensive, yeah, to get the DLC songs. Wall Roar Heroes Blues. Member for 9 months says, I'm in my mid-30s now, and I had the same situation. I felt jaded at video games, but Halo Infinite's campaign brought me that feeling back. We old now, man. Yeah. Yeah, I do feel like I'm getting older. Like, I am feeling it. The fact that I'm sitting here yearning for like a... It's weird, because I remember when I got the... Like, Rock Band 1, I was there for. Guitar Hero 2. Guitar Hero 3, dude. Guitar Hero 3 was Slash. Oh my god, I just these were some of the best gaming moments ever. I'm like, this is perfect. This is the marriage of video games and music. You know, I'm like, this needs to live on forever. And I just feel like it's sad to see that like it's just not a prevalent thing in the industry. You know what's crazy is in Fortnite they have like Fortnite Festival now. And I watched this where the company that actually made the peripherals for Rock Band, for like the drums and guitar, they made a new guitar specifically for this. And it's not the same, dude. It's not the same. Is it hard? I don't think it's Harmonix. I think it's like PDP or something. Because Harmonix made the game, but I think PDP made the actual gear. And I was they had Black Hole Sun by Soundgarden on there, and I was like, that's sick. And I was like watching it, and it's just so. I'm like, what did they do? Like, what is this? Like, I appreciate on a surface level that like, wow, Fortnite's trying to like have their own version, but it's just not the same, man. And I would love to see that come back. Rocksmith, I never got into. Rocksmith felt way too intimidating because I don't play guitar. I always wanted to play guitar. Like, I can do like very, 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 very basic things on guitar, but I do not consider myself a guitar player at all. Like, I think I suck ass at guitar. And Rocksmith always kind of intimidated me because I was like, man, it feels like it is going to teach me how to actually play guitar, and that sounds very difficult and possibly annoying. And I'm just like, I just love my 5 buttons. I love my 5 big bright colored buttons on my Guitar Hero and Rock Band guitar. Please don't make me don't make me learn how to actually, like, you know, play 6 different strings, man, and a fretboard. No, I haven't seen that yet. You're saying that Digital Foundry released a video for Astro. I'll have to check that out. Definitely. Do I play piano? No, I feel like I'm a fake piano player, right? Like, I feel like I could sit down at a piano and I can kind of make sounds that might make somebody think, oh, do you know what you're doing? It's like, no, I don't at all. It's same thing with guitar. Same thing with guitar. Like, these are 2 instruments that when I get my hands on them, I have no idea what I'm doing, but I feel like I can sometimes construct sounds that could maybe trick a person into thinking that, like, oh, I think you know what you're doing. It's like, not at all. Not at all. Drums are what I play. Drums come naturally to me. I don't know what my actual skill level on drums is. I think my skill level is, I would say, decently high. It's hard for me to gauge, though, because I haven't played on an actual like acoustic kit in years. I've only played on an electric kit, and things are different on an electric kit. It's not necessarily easier to play an electric kit. It has its advantages and disadvantages. But I'd be curious to know what my skill level on drums would be if I could just like sit behind like a monster kit that like a professional would use. I'm just curious what I would be able to do on it, you know? I think I'd be able to tear it up pretty good. Not the best, but pretty good, yeah. Keyboard with light up keys is the strat. Have I seen the Peruvian guy who plays one-handed while drinking? I have not. No, this is the first I'm hearing of this. MBG, it takes time to learn an instrument. It's not something you can do in 2 minutes, like learning a new language. I know. I've tried to learn guitar before, and I won't lie to you, man. Like I got too frustrated. I'm like, this is very difficult, and that's just kind of who I am as a person. You know, like it's not that I don't like a challenge. It's I only like a challenge that I like. You know what I mean? If it's a challenge that feels too annoying, and there's something else that I know I could do that's less annoying because it's not as challenging and I'm not enjoying, you know, like for me playing the drums, the challenge for me it has been over my lifetime, I guess, because there have been like years where I haven't played the drums, but generally my personal challenge has always been like I want to play as good as some of the best players that I listen to. You know, like if I can get close to what they're doing or like play some of the stuff they're playing, that's the challenge and to keep pushing. And that just came in the form of listening and hearing it and watching it and not like learning how to play music and reading the sheets. You know what I mean? That's why you quit. Yeah, skateboarding. That's another one. Oh, dude, you know a game I'm. Listen, you want to know what I'm not jaded about? Skate 4. Please let us see Skate 4 in at Summer Game Fest. Listen, I know people are a little bit worried because it's going to be like free to play. You know, it's going to be free to play, and I get it, microtransactions, but I don't care. As long as they get the gameplay right, dude, I'm going to live in that game. I love the idea of what they're doing, man. Where they're like, we're gonna take skate, we're gonna make it like open world, where you just it's like a skateboarding MMO. I'm there, please. I want to live in that matrix, dude, because I used to love skateboarding, and I was kind of good at it, but also not very good. And anytime I would try to get better, I would hurt myself. So it just never worked out for me. So if I can just live my fantasy in Skate 4, please. Yeah, I was kind of good at some stuff. Like I don't know. Truthfully, I was never really that good at skating. I could do like a 3 flip, you know, but not all the time. And when it came to like grinding stuff, I only stuck to grinding like small ledges and curbs. But when it came to like, oh, you're gonna do this handrail, it's like no. I'm going to die. Like, I'm literally going to smash my head and die. And, you know, I would like try to ollie like a 6 set of stairs or something and almost die doing so. And I'm like, I'm just, you know, just isn't coming as naturally to me. Like, trying to get really good at skateboarding felt way too risky. It felt like I would probably like actually die. If not die, just really, really permanently injure myself trying to get good. There was a point I could do a double kick flip, stuff like that. Could never do a hard flip. It was too hard. Skate Story from Devolver looks good. Your character's made of glass. I actually don't know about this game. Maybe I'm having a quarter life crisis, guys. Hey. He's trying to disconnect my mic. I think we've established by the end of this stream, I'm having a quarter life crisis. Ever heard of Darby Allin? I have not. Jimi Hendrix didn't know how to read music. You can learn to play from tabs. Oh yeah, that's true. That's true. I'm becoming an elder gamer, guys. So this is what it feels like, huh? This is what it feels like to be an elder gamer. We need to turn MBG into an indie gaming. You need to turn me on to indie gaming or anime. It'll get me out of my funk. Instead of chasing live service, Sony should be making skateboarding games and Rock Band. Dude, absolutely. Listen, if EA can make a skateboarding game, why can't Sony? Sony wants to branch out and diversify. Sony, fund Rock Band 5 right now. Right now. You know what? Acquire Harmonix and fund Rock Band 5. I mean, Sony music label. Right? It's right there. Make it happen, Sony. Fred, you're saying a game that you miss, Outlaw Golf. I never heard of that. I don't think I know that game. SpongeBob Cosmic Shake free on PS Plus. Yeah, Sony does own the rights to a lot of music already. That's actually kind of crazy to think that Sony really could do something like that if they wanted to. I don't know. It's probably really tough, though. I mean, one of the most difficult parts about probably the Rock Band games is actually manufacturing the peripherals and selling them. But Sony kind of already has a pipeline for peripherals, so I don't know. Maybe my idea isn't that far fetched. Listen, this is where I will root for Microsoft. Okay, Microsoft, listen to me. You bought Activision Blizzard. You have the Guitar Hero IP. You can do what we thought was the impossible. You can revive Guitar Hero and bring it back to its former glory. Go all in. Make a Guitar Hero World Tour 2, where you got the guitar, the drums, the mic, the bass, the whole thing. Microsoft, if you do that, I will buy an Xbox to play that. Straight up. And I'll buy all the peripherals. Don't let Fortnite have it all. That's what's bothering me is like everybody's like, we'll just do it in Fortnite. Like, no, like do your own thing. Like you don't have to, I don't want to, dude, listen, if we live in a future where like the only way you can use your plastic guitar to play any like new songs and stuff from artists is in Fortnite with Fortnite festivals, it's like that's the future. What timeline are we in, man? What happened? They'll sell it multi-plat, make money on it. Yeah, you're probably right. If they were to do that, it would probably... Yeah, a game like that, I think, would 100% come to PlayStation. Honestly, I feel like I would want to just do it to, like, honor Microsoft at that point, though. It's like, holy shit, Microsoft did the coolest thing ever. You know? Microsoft would earn so much respect from me if they actually did that. In all seriousness, like they would earn so much respect. Be like, well, you actually did it, you crazy sons of bitches. Because I think on paper it doesn't make any sense to do. To be honest, I think that's why it's not being done. But yeah, can't sell consoles, but we can sell guitars. There you go. At this point, it'd be cheaper to buy a real guitar and play Rocksmith instead. Yeah. I do want to get a new drum kit at some point. I don't know when that's going to happen, but I'd very much like to do that. Sony teams up with Microsoft to make the instruments. Peripherals are outdated. Look at modern computing. No disk drive in sight. Technology sucks at times. Well, at the very least, I can take solace in the fact that Skate 4 is still a thing. Really quick, because I'm going to bring the stream to an end in a couple minutes. I want to go see... Boss, I love you, man, but you got to go. You're a little too in the way here. Let me see. Let me look up Rock Band 4 bundle. Where can I buy a Rock Band 4 bundle? Shopping. First listing, Rock Band 4 Band in a Box bundle, $600 US. Oh man. Oh no, dude. That's a lot. I think that's like more than double. Oh wait, hold on. Is that opened? Let me see. Condition very good. Oh my god, that means it was opened. Oh shit, it was open. It's used. It's got fingerprints all over it. Holy shit, how much is an unopened box? Oh, this is even more depressing than I thought. Unopened, $1,600? What? My dreams shattered. That's not even counting all the DLC songs that you would have to get too. $1,600, man. Rock Band Rivals limited edition kit. $1,325. That's crazy. If you want to buy this stuff used, you're paying at least $500 or $600. Unopened is like basically out of the question. That makes me sad. There's some here that are being sold with just the guitar in the game for like $286. That's still pretty expensive. That's still pretty damn expensive. You know, just out of curiosity, I'm actually dying to know. Oh my god, dude. There are actually people. There's no way. There's a listing here on eBay for Guitar Hero World Tour for the Xbox 360, $550. It's so old. Oh, the memories. The memories. You love it. You love to see it, man. You hate to see it. $1,600 is more than your rent. Well, we can dream, right? We can still dream. Well, guys, I think that's going to do it. I think that's going to do it for the stream. I think this is where we're going to end it. Every stream, I end with so much cat fur all over my pants and my shirt. No, there's not going to be a members lounge today. We're going to do a members lounge on the next stream. All right. But there are, listen, for any of my channel members, in case you've been, I know it can be hard to keep track of. I did like 5 members lounges last week. I just did one on Sunday as well. So be sure to go check those out if you want more. If you want more MBG. Oh, jeez. Not good. Well, bring back Press X podcast. Is that what I should do? Should I just, instead of just calling these live streams and just saying live, should I just bring back, if I stream like three days a week or something, should I just call it Press X podcast? Multiple podcasts a week? Is that what I should do? Press cross. Oh, here we go again. Press cross. Boss cast. How about that? Now people just use Rock Band instruments to beat Dark Souls. Wow. You're absolutely right. You're right, dude. You're right. It's come full circle, man. It's all come full circle. I forgot that, yeah, people do that. I beat Elden Ring no hit. I beat all the Dark Souls games, no hit run using a freaking Rock Band drum set. Now I'm even more depressed. All right, guys. Thank you so much for word dance, Matt. Thank you so much for tuning in. Hold on, really quick. You're saying people use a piece of pizza now? I like my brain says no, but why do I feel like that's somehow true? Because I've seen some of the wildest shit. It's like I beat Elden Ring with this banana, and I'm just like, what? Like, what? Are you on drugs? What's going on here? It's like, nope. They actually somehow, some way. I remember I saw there was this one. It was like I beat Elden Ring using my mind, and there was like this insane setup where they actually had like, I don't know, they were somehow able to make it so that the dude's thoughts could be like transferred to actual like inputs, and I'm like, okay, what are we doing? What are we doing? Anyway, it's just so funny. Yeah, blindfolded. You know what I want to see? You know what I want to see next? I want to. It's just really quick. It's gonna get taken so far. Like you're gonna see people that are like, I buried myself alive, blindfolded, and beat Elden Ring no hit with my mind. Like it's gonna get taken that far one day, dude. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for all of your support. Before I go, I do have to check Destiny. You're saying it's about to... Oh, yeah, it looks like it might. So Destiny right now has 297,000 people playing. The all-time peak is 316,000. It looks like it's going to do it, man. That's crazy. That's actually crazy. Sony's probably happy. So good for them. The Bungie comeback, seemingly. But that does it for the stream. That's like the third time I said that. For real this time, though, thank you guys so much for tuning in. We're sitting at 30 members. Thank you to everybody who dropped some membership gifts. And I also want to thank everybody who dropped some super chats as well. I'm only able to run this channel the way I am, and I'm only able to produce this content and do these streams as frequently as I can because you guys make it possible. So thank you guys so much for that. It's a privilege, even though I'm becoming an old, jaded gamer, you guys still appreciate this, and I appreciate that you appreciate it. So thank you so much. My final request before you leave is to just hit that like button as you're filing out. And I also want to give a shout out to Devil Shooter. He does the timestamps for all the streams. He does a great job. If you see him in the comments, give him some thanks. I know he really appreciates it. And yeah, that does it. So I hope everybody enjoys the rest of their day. And I will catch you all in the next stream. So until then, take care, everyone. Boss thanks you as well.